Good morning. We appreciate you all. It is 8:58 and we will begin in about 2 minutes. Thank you. Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. I'd like to call our meeting to order. We'll begin with roll call and immediately thereafter the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Potter, if you would be so kind as to do roll call.
Chair Dr. Holmes Sutton,
Present.
Vice Chair Thigpen,
Here.
Member Dr. Aldaba,
Present.
Member Haddad Bennett,
Present.
Member Salcido, Member Richards,
Present.
Member Shante Rosales,
Present.
Member Stern,
Present.
Member Whitaker,
Here.
Student Rep Burry.
Thank you. Will you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. We will begin with our first public comment. A public comment taken during this agenda item is regarding any item appearing on the agenda. Please note that you will have 3 minutes to provide public comment. We'll start with Wes Olson. And after Wes Olson will be Ray Powell.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Wes Olson. I'm with Raymond James and Associates. We work with charter schools on their long-term facility financings. It's my understanding at the last board meeting, there were some questions about how some of these decisions may impact facility financings for schools and what that means for their budget and long-term viability. We're working with both SAGE and Nevada Prep, who are on the agenda today. But also the Delta Academy and a couple others within your portfolio. So if there's questions later, I just wanted to announce that I'm here. Yeah, happy to address questions as they come up later. So thanks for everything.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Ray Powell. And after Ray Powell will be Jeff McAlpine.
Is this working? Thank you, members of the board, for hearing me. What I've got to say might sound a little bit melodramatic, but I am a speech and drama and English teacher. We no longer punish children for the sins of their father. When I came on board with Nevada Prep, I gave up $146,000 a year with CCSD to work for a lot less money. John Hanel is basically a captain that jumped into a sinking ship that was abandoned by some other people. And it's a miracle that he's kept it afloat. This is no joke. I know this because he's talked to me quite a bit about it. Why, I don't know. Maybe we have a kindred spirit because we're pretty much the close age. He has done everything he could. He's begged, he's borrowed, he's worked with people. He's even opened the books, which has been unheard of with any school that I've ever been with. My daughter, God bless me, late in life, is 12 years old. She attends the school. She loves her teachers. Behind me are sitting two exceptional teachers, Miss Posey and Mr. Scott, that my daughter absolutely adores. My wife teaches kindergarten. That's our first year teaching kindergarten. Her kids are phenomenal, and they have scored at level. This man has worked so hard. I no longer work at Nevada Prep. But I'm telling you, as a person that has been there and has taught the students and has seen the faculty that's sitting behind me, this school deserves to continue serving the community. I have a PhD in education from the University of Tokyo. Behind me is Mr. Jack McAlpine. I've learned so much from this man in his training sessions. I thought I knew a lot, but watching his videos, the amount of time that he puts into his work in his own time to help teachers advance and become better teachers is absolutely astounding, and he deserves a handshake for it. Mr. Hanel is one of the nicest men I've ever known. My wife looks up to him like a father figure, and not many administrators can say that. My wife came here from China. I've been in Asia the last 30 years. And whenever we came here, we wanted to make Nevada Prep a home. But the bottom line is, Nevada Prep cannot afford a PhD salary. And Mr. Hanel apologized profusely. But due to budget cuts and restraints and trying to keep the ship afloat, sacrifices have to be made. I hold no animosity against the school, nor do I hold any malice against the school for decisions that have had to be made on the best interest of the community and the students. I ask that you people seriously think about this. What this man has done in the last couple of years, what can he do in the next 8 or 10 years with this school? Let him do what he does best. Develop charter schools, develop teachers, and educate children. I thank you for your time. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Jeff McAlpine, and following Mr. McAlpine will be Freddie Rosser.
I think it's already pressed. Am I good? All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Jeff McAlpine, Academic Director at Nevada Prep. I have a working database of all schools in Nevada, and I recently added seat numbers to my database, and I found something that should upset us all. Charter school seats are seats of choice, and we need more choice. Did you know that only 39% of charter school seats in the Las Vegas Valley are in high poverty areas? 60.6% of charter school seats are in middle and upper class zip codes. This is in contrast to CCSD, who actually serves more high poverty areas, with 51.4% of all CCSD zone seats being in high poverty areas. In fact, magnet schools, CCSD seats of choice, service exclusively high poverty zip codes. We have to fix this. We need more charter school seats in low income areas. And now to see charter schools closing and being closed that serve exclusively high poverty students, we should be doing everything in our power, every one of us, to save these schools. We should be helping them. And to be honest, help in my world this year just kind of feels like more and more and more extremely confusing paperwork. But I'll do it, and I'll wade through it, and I'll read the legalese and do the best I can. We need help like was offered in the turnaround zones of the past, and I'll come back to that. I believe in accountability, absolute truthful accountability. And that is why I'm working on a book that describes Nevada Prep before we arrived and the steps we're taking to turn the school around. I think people need to know. It's important that we recognize what happens at a school when it's not held accountable. And more importantly, the story I'm writing shows how a dedicated team can turn a school around. And I'm hoping that this board finds a way to support this process. You can be a part of the solution in this story. There are better ways to hold schools accountable than having them shut their doors. I was fortunate to work for years in the turnaround zone in CCSD, and this was true accountability. The majority of staff and leaders were replaced. The schools were provided with tons of new resources, and then schools were given time to grow and thrive. Mr. Hanel and myself were part of many successful turnarounds, Accountability for everyone means fixing things when they're broken, not just throwing them away. There are people out there whom John Haenel's wizardry with finance had helped make them whole for their PERS retirement. They had not seen a penny before we arrived. There are vendors out there that deserve to get paid for the services they provided before we arrived, but none of this can happen if a school is closed. This bond issue is the next step in letting us fix the past. Finally, we'll need to renew our charter so we can continue to serve students with seats of choice in one of the highest poverty areas in Nevada. I believe we all want this to happen. I believe that we want the same ends. I come from the world of Teach for America, and our mission has been to ensure that zip code does not dictate educational outcomes. So as part of my database, I added property values and divided these into the top third, middle third, and lower third, and the results are telling. There is a penalty when attending schools in low-income areas. A 1.08 star rating decrease, 20.1% average difference in ELA proficiency, and a 19.2% difference in math proficiency.
That's time, sir. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, appreciate you. May I ask kindly if you are online and unmuted, if you would mute? Thank you. I would ask Freddie Rosser. Thank you.
I don't think it's me.
Ready to push the button.
Yeah, I just.
Freddie Rosser, Nevada Prep Principal. I just want to take this moment to thank you guys for looking back at our situation. Our students need it. And here's an update. We're currently on a great trajectory for enrollments. We're probably 420 right now with proper numbers of OLRs. So we're probably going to get to 460 or 480 before the school year starts. And I just want to thank you guys for looking at that and giving us a second chance. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Is there any public comment online?
We have a caller with the last four, 3406. Caller with the last four, 3406. Press star 6 to unmute.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Hello, my name is Sean McCormick, and I lead the Equitable Facilities Fund work with the charter schools in Nevada. Equitable Facilities Fund, which is also known as EFF, co-manages the Nevada Facilities Fund with Opportunity 180, which you'll be getting an update on later in the agenda. As one of the largest charter school lenders in the country, we evaluation framework, and we analyze many of the same metrics, financial metrics, as the SPCSA financial performance framework. Outside of those metrics, we focus on much more than just how the school is doing, but how they're trending financially and how new debt may help a school improve its financial situation. Many early stage schools in Nevada utilize lease structures that escalate, which may contribute to their financial challenges, especially if they're experiencing any enrollment challenges. One of the most important factors considered in our evaluation of a school's risk profile is the charter school authorized or good standing and any renewal risk for the school. Similar to many of our lending partners, if a school has any designation questioning their ability to be renewed, such as a notice of breach, it essentially disqualifies the school from accessing any lender capital until that notice is removed. We greatly appreciate working with authorizers such as the SPCSA, who put into place thoughtful accountability frameworks that identify schools' financial challenges early and require intervention and updated financial planning to support schools in improving their financial strength. EFF, and by extension the Nevada Facilities Fund, requires schools to meet financial loan covenants that are aligned very much with the SPCSA financial performance framework. Specifically, EFF requires schools to maintain a minimum of 45 days cash on hand and meet a minimum 1.1 times debt service coverage ratio. We also want schools to have clean audits and to be in good standing with their existing debtors. Similarly, we take into account the positive financial trends for schools, especially early stage schools as they're growing. A loan from the Nevada Facilities Fund or another lender, such as a Community Finance Development or Institution or CDFI, may offer significant savings for charter schools versus their current lease situation. Assigning notices of breach will eliminate the opportunity for these schools to access more affordable capital. And I fully recognize that for some schools, the financial outlook is bleak and a notice of concern or notice of breach is very much warranted, and they probably wouldn't meet the qualifications for a new loan. But I am requesting that the SPCSA board continue to use good judgment when assigning a notice of breach to a school, as some financial metrics truly are more indicative of a school's financial health. And we want to support charter schools by putting them on a path to success, and a nuanced application of the intervention ladder will allow some schools to access low-cost capital that they desperately need. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Caller with the last four digits, 6740, please provide public comment. Push *6 to unmute.
Good morning. My name is Antonia Bryant, school social worker for the Clark County School District and mother of 3 stepping stone daughters who have attended charter schools since living here in Nevada. Doing B Arts Academy of Excellence, I knew it would be a great fit for all 3 of my children. Every child has a different character, learning style, and unique needs. What D-Bay is offering is also unique and is a great fit for my 3 daughters. They're going into 3rd, 6th, and 8th grade. I know that the slow model is being recommended, but for this small size school, I believe that it would be beneficial for all grade levels to start for the new school year. Social emotional health is a major component to a healthy school environment and students' emotional balance. Social emotional learning goes hand in hand to a good academic year. Our family is cultural, and dance, art, and expression is our foundation. I believe my children and other families would greatly benefit from attending this school together. Smaller classes increase one-to-one attention and builds a greater rapport between the teachers and students. My 8th grader and her siblings would enjoy one last year of schooling on the same campus. If D-Bay is granted additional grade levels for the first year, the 2025-2026 school year, this will be a great introduction to the Performance Arts Charter School. Please provide this opportunity for additional grade levels. Thank you for listening and your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any additional public comment online?
There is not.
Thank you.
Samantha King Powell, General Counsel. For the record, the authority received public comment regarding Sage Collegiate, which can be found on our website.
Thank you. And I believe that you were referencing also the 6 public comments that we have noted in the materials. Thank you. Appreciate you so much. Transitioning to agenda item number 3, approval of the consent agenda. We have April 18th, 2025 board meeting action minutes, as well as the charter school contract amendment for Sage Collegiate Public Charter School. I would be asking for a motion.
Vice Chair Thigpen, for the record, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Member Haddad Bennett, I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the proposed motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. Transitioning to agenda item number 4, our Charter School Governing Board Governance Standards. We will have Member Shantae Rosales present for us today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, so I went back through them over and over, like which one piques my interest? And the one that stood out the most is the standard number 6, to operate in service of your community. Community is very important to me. It's very important to all of us, as a lot of our schools are the pillars of a lot of their communities. Specifically, bullet point number 4, to collaborate with stakeholders to address concerns and challenges. Schools are not just there for the students to learn. Realistically, we could teach them anything and everything anywhere, as we all had to experience during COVID, unfortunately. But really taking your board and asking and collaborating with other people who are important to that schools. Stakeholders are parents, students. The students go to the schools to learn. They are really big stakeholders. And we might find it hard to believe, but some of them know a little bit more than we give them credit for. Also, businesses, community leaders, teachers, other schools in those areas really look to them to help solve problems. We create better transparencies and we can avoid distrust within our schools and our charter school community. So I really want board members to take a minute and add some of these things. We've been doing this now for several years. Bless you. We've been doing this for several years. Take a minute and look at the board governance standards yourselves and maybe add one. What are you doing to make your board abide by? What are the things that you're doing for bullet point 4 or any of these for that matter? So that's the one I want everybody to kind of think on today and really, really try to put some stuff into play to make it work.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Transitioning to agenda item number 5, the executive director's report. I'll defer to Director McAdoo.
Thank you, Chair Holmes Sutton. If it's okay with you, I'll pause a couple times where it makes sense to see if anyone has any questions. Okay. All right, I'd like to start with the school highlight. According to the National Center on Safe and Supportive Learning Environments, positive school culture and climate are critically related to school success. Research shows that they can improve staff attendance, achievement, and retention. During its site evaluation, Pinecrest Academy of Nevada Springs campus demonstrated a healthy school culture and climate, which serves as a strength and a foundation for school success. A theme that resonated with all the focus groups was the positive school culture and climate, which fostered a sense of community. For example, in the staff focus group, most participants noted that school culture and climate are a strength and served as pillars for success. The leadership reported that all staff will return for the next school year, attributing this to the school's positive collaborative work environment. Many participants in the family focus group shared positive school experiences, describing the campus as a family-like atmosphere. Students in their focus group shared stories that aligned with the healthy nature of the environment. On the day of the site evaluation, SPCSA staff members SPCSA staff members observed Pinecrest staff members numerous times throughout the day, displaying a respectful approach when interacting with colleagues, students, and families. Moving on, I will move to Employee Appreciation Month. So May was Employee Appreciation Month for Nevada state employees. Governor Lombardo recognized 2 of our employees at an event on May 7th at the Capitol. Those employees were Danny Peltier, Management Analyst 3 on the authorizing team, and Carrie Sarabia, Administrative Assistant 3 on the Finance and Operation team. I hope you all took the opportunity to read my memo, which included the comments on both of these amazing colleagues that were submitted to the governor's office. I won't read them in their entirety today, but I will take this opportunity to once again thank Danny and Carrie, for always going above and beyond. I would also like to thank the entire SPCSA staff for their dedication to the agency, the schools, and the students within our portfolio. Lastly, and I'm going to share my screen for this because it's very exciting. All right, perfect. Lastly, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Jennifer Bauer, who is retiring today after 29 years of dedicated service to the state. Included in your board material was a proclamation signed by Governor Lombardo, which I would like to read on the record. A proclamation by the governor. Whereas Jennifer Bauer is retiring from the State Public Charter School Authority on May 30th, 2025, after 29 years of professional excellence and loyal service to the state of Nevada. And whereas Jennifer started her career with the Department of Motor Vehicles and Public Safety, Parole and Probation on May 28, 1996 as a clerical aide, where she promoted up through the various administrative and management analyst position ranks. And whereas Jennifer was promoted to the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy as an Administrative Service Officer 2 on January 4, 2026. And whereas Jennifer was promoted to the State Public Charter School Authority as an Administrative Service Officer 3 on July 3, 2017. And whereas Jennifer will be deeply missed both professionally and personally by all who had the pleasure and privilege to working with her. And whereas the State Public Charter School Authority and the state of Nevada join her colleagues and leadership in expressing our sincere appreciation for her 29 years of exceptional service to the residents of our Silver State. Jennifer has truly earned the right to enjoy a well-deserved and joyful retirement. Now, therefore, I, Joe Lombardo, Governor of the State of Nevada, do hereby proclaim May 30th, 2025 as a day in honor of Jennifer Bauer. And I would just like to add that I've had the privilege of working with Jen in one capacity or another since she joined the SPCSA in 2017. And I can tell you firsthand that I have learned a great deal from her and that she will be greatly missed. And we wish her all the best in her retirement. So I will now move on to PERS regarding the delinquent PERS payments. This month, I included the historical estimated amounts due per Chair Holmes Sutton request, and I hope you find that that was a more helpful approach. One thing you may notice on the spreadsheet that PERS shares monthly is that many of these dollars are unallocated, which means the schools are submitting the payments but not the required paperwork that allows PERS to credit the individual employees' accounts, which is why these remain estimates, because they don't know where to allocate these dollars. The paperwork isn't submitted with them. And I will pause there to see if there are any questions before I move on. Okay. Seeing none, I will move on to the legislative update. With just a few days remaining in the legislative session, we want to highlight a few key pieces of legislation that will affect charter schools. The SPCSA's bill, Assembly Bill 39, has passed the Senate. It's actually on its way to the governor's desk. I can update this even since I wrote this. So it's on its way to the governor's desk and hopefully will actually be signed before the weekend's out. Assembly Bill 398 passed out of the Assembly. Section 8 of the bill provides over $19 million each year of the biennium for charter school teacher and education support staff professional salary increases. So that's the teacher raises. Senate Bill 418 is on the governor's desk for signature as well. This bill requires NDE to deduct from the charter school's PCFP payments the amount the school is delinquent on PERS payments when the school is 90 days delinquent. So this is a significant piece of legislation that passed. Senate Bill 470, the SPCSA revolving loan, was heard in the Assembly on May 27th. We're hoping, obviously, that keeps moving through. Senate Bill 468, the Charter School Transportation Bill, passed out of Senate Finance on May 27th, 2025. And lastly, Senate Bill 500 is the Education Funding Bill, which addresses the following for charter schools. It names the local funding for pupils with disabilities, base funding for both fiscal years, weighted funding for English language learners, weighted funding for at-risk pupils, and weighted funding for gifted and talented pupils. And with that, I will pause and see if there are any questions related to the legislative update. Okay. Seeing none, I will keep going. SPCSA staff is pleased to announce that 7 new charter applications are currently being reviewed. During the next few months, these applications will undergo a rigorous evaluation of the written application by internal SPCSA staff and external reviewers who engage in this work throughout the country. We will then have capacity interviews in which we will evaluate the capacity of the proposed team. Of the 7 applications being reviewed, 1 is located in Washoe County, 1 in Carson City, 1 in Nye County, and the remaining 4 are within Clark County. Redacted versions of the application are posted on our website for public input. SPCSA staff looks forward to bringing forward recommendations regarding this application cycle in August. The SPCSA received 5 applicants to serve as the student representative on the SPCSA board. Each member of the leadership team, including the board chair and vice chair, reviewed the applications and ranked their first choice, which received 2 points, and their second choice, which received 1 point. Points were then totaled up, and and that's how the applicant was ultimately decided. But I do want to just say on the record that all the applicants were extremely impressive, leading to a very close decision. And it is my pleasure to announce that Odalis Ayala from Equipo Academy will serve as our student representative in the coming school year. Our colleague Matthew will be here one more month. He'll be here in June, and he'll share his exciting life updates at that meeting. And then Miss Ayala will join us in August, will be her first meeting. So thank you and congratulations to everyone who applied. Very, very impressive applicants. And finally, I did include as part of my write-up some information on a recent Supreme Court case as an informational item that I thought the board might find interesting, but I'm not going to necessarily talk about it here. We just wanted to draw your attention to that in case you hadn't seen it. And with that, I am happy to answer any remaining questions.
Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? We don't have any questions, Director McKinnon. Appreciate you. Chair Holmes-Sutton, we will transition to agenda item number 6 for the updates regarding Teach and Eagle closure.
All right. Josh Kern with the 10 Square Group should hopefully be online to provide you with an update regarding the closure of Teach and Eagle, and he will be happy to answer any outstanding questions following his presentation. I'm hoping that we're not so far ahead of schedule that he's not already on here. Oh, he is. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
all right,
hi.
I'll turn it
Morning.
over to Mr. Kern.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair Holmes-Sutton and members of the authority. Just for the record, my name is Josh Kern. I'm the closing administrator for both Teach Las Vegas and Eagle Charter Schools of Nevada. And I want to thank you once again for allowing me the opportunity to provide an update on the wind down efforts for both Teach and Eagle. Let me say up front that I sincerely regret the length of time for this process. I think it might be helpful if I use some of my time or all of my time really today to briefly highlight a couple of the issues we've encountered, which have contributed to the delays. And I also want to assure you, and perhaps most importantly, want to assure you that my final report to the SPCSA will include recommendations on how to address these challenges with the goal of streamlining the process for any future closures, if there are any. So over the past several months, much of my work has been focused on reconstructing the financial records for Eagle Charter Schools of Nevada. Unfortunately, these records were incomplete and inaccurate, and we've identified significant issues with their accounting practices, which became somewhat of a Pandora's box, requiring substantial efforts to resolve. I'll just give you one example. So, in preparing preparing to issue the W-2s to former employees, which is a legal requirement enabling the former employees to file their federal tax returns, we discovered that many of those forms were incorrect. Some former employees had no wages reported at all. Others had incorrect wages due to payroll errors dating back to the school's inception. Some employees were improperly marked as exempt from Social Security and Medicare, while others were exempted from all withholdings. As a result, we had to recalculate wages and withholdings from the beginning of the school's creation for the majority of the school's employees. Another challenge, independent of the financial records for Eagle, has been correctly identifying priority and secured creditors for both Teach and Eagle, which is a necessary step before any payments can be made to the general unsecured creditors. So both Teach and Eagle have insufficient funds to satisfy all their obligations. So it was and is essential to ensure that creditors were paid in the proper order. In other words, secured and priority creditors have to be paid in full before any monies go to unsecured general creditors. And it was just last week that we resolved the final question of priority creditors. The Nevada Department of Education had initially suggested that its overpayments should be prioritized above other unsecured claims. However, upon close review by NDE's legal team, it was determined that the government overpayments should not take priority over other creditors. And I want to just give a shout out to the SPCSA's general counsel for your support in that effort. So NDE will be treated as a general unsecured creditor. This was a particularly important point for Eagle to resolve because its overpayment from NDE was $800,000. So if NDE had been determined to be a priority creditor, then no monies would have been available for the general unsecured creditors for Eagle. So with the issues of priority and secured creditors now resolved, I can confirm that there will be some remaining funds in both Teach and Eagle to pay the general unsecured creditors, although it's going to be a small percentage of the total amount owed. And I expect these final payments to be made next month in June. My goal is to deliver the final report documenting compliance with NRS closeout process by September. This report will include the final wind down audit, ensuring that no outstanding issues or liabilities remain for either Teach or Eagle. So that concludes my remarks. I want to thank you again for your time and the opportunity to address you today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Kern. I would ask if there are any questions from board colleagues online. I beg your pardon. Any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? If I may, I believe that I have a question, and that is regarding the W-2s and the incorrect information. I was curious as to what implications this has for the employees themselves as they have filed taxes. Are they needing to amend?
That
What
is a great
supports
question.
are available? Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. It was, I have to say, a bit of a stressful time because between the time that we had identified this as being an issue to the time that the reports were due was like just a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, we actually did not hit the window. I think it's required that that the W-2s are issued by January 31st. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And we did not get them out corrected. We had incorrect ones on January 31st, but it didn't get corrected until sometime in February. We did ultimately get out corrected W-2s before the filing date of April 15th. I think they happened by the end of February. And I have to say, like, all of the employees were great to work with. They were very understanding and accommodating. I believe at this point they have all the correct, I know that they have all the correct W-2 information. I know they had it in time to be able to file their tax returns, but I mean, it was definitely touch and go for a little bit. And so I appreciate you asking that question. And I would take the opportunity just to, again, thank all of the former employees who had issues with their W-2s who worked collaboratively with us to get it resolved. So thank you.
Chair Homestead, thank you, Mr. Kern. We appreciate your leadership, recognizing that this is a very complex and dynamic process that you're endeavoring.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would ask again if there are any other questions. Seeing none, thank you again, Mr. Kern.
Right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Chair Holmes Sutton, I just want to make sure we get on the record that Member Salcido joined the meeting at 9:35.
Thank you. I appreciate you. We will transition to agenda item number 7, Nevada Facility Fund update, and Opportunity 180 will be presenting information to our board this morning, deferring to Director McAdin.
All right, we want to thank Ray Frazier from Opportunity 180, who is going to provide the board with an update on the Nevada Facilities Fund, and we'll give him just a minute to get situated.
We need to set it up on here. Okay, that would be great. Awesome. Thank you.
There we go. Yep.
All right. Good morning, Chair Holmes Sutton, board and staff. For the record, I am Ray Frazier. I'm the Managing Director of Operations at Opportunity 180. Thank you for having me here to provide an update on the Nevada Facilities Fund. It was almost exactly a year ago that we were here in front of the board, briefing you on the fund and providing some prospects for loans and closures. And we are happy to be back a year later and share some of our successes that we've had with the fund and take a look at what's next. So we can go to the next slide. Big picture and what is the fund? I believe you all are familiar with this, so I won't spend a ton of time, but the Nevada Facility Fund is Nevada's first public-private partnership facility funding resource for charter schools in the state. This was launched in October of 2023 with the State Infrastructure Bank. This offers below market loans and covers 100% of project costs for charter schools that are into the program. Schools can save upwards of $150,000 to $200,000 per year on their facility expenses, allowing for more per pupil dollars to be directed into the classrooms and be spent directly on students. Go to the next slide. The model. So this is how it's all constructed and how it's put together. This is a $100 million loan fund that is built on a foundation and seeded with a $15 million loan from the Nevada State Infrastructure Bank. We also were able to raise $5 million of local philanthropy, and Opportunity 180 was also able to secure a $12 million federal credit enhancement grant. When we put all those things together, our great partners who you heard from a little bit earlier today, Sean and the team at Equitable Facilities Fund, are able to bring in $80 million of national philanthropy and bond investments to create our $100 million revolving loan fund. These loans are recycled over time to continue spending and supporting more schools. And there are a list of requirements that we have to meet with the State Infrastructure Bank. And a year plus in, year and a half in, we're fully compliant with all of those measures for the fund. Next slide. So this is just a little bit about how the facility fund is able to be a little bit of a jumpstart for some facility ecosystems here in the state of Nevada. We really feel like it's been able to support bringing not just the facility fund itself as being successful in supporting schools, but we've also been able to utilize that to attract in other options for financing. We've got our lease guarantee program. Really what we're trying to do with our facility work is identify comprehensive support for schools who are anywhere between year zero and in a position of getting to a sustainable model and needing to have some equity and owning their facility. So whether it's a lease guarantee program, whether it's some short-term financing options or a long-term financing option like the facility fund, ultimately our end result and what we're looking to achieve are lower financing costs for schools. Those get passed on to students and classrooms, and ultimately better outcomes for kids. That is why we are all here. That is exactly why we are doing the work that we do, is ultimately make sure that we are supporting better outcomes for kids. The next slide, gone through the what. This is a little bit more about the who, who's involved and at what stage and what part do they play in the Nevada Facility Fund. Talk through the funding sources being the State Infrastructure Bank, some local philanthropy, federal credit enhancement grant, and the bond market. But as we look at Opportunity 180 more specifically, we are the primary responsible party with the State Infrastructure Bank for this project. Further, we cultivate the pipeline of schools. We are constantly working with schools through check-ins to see who has a project that could be coming up in the next few years. We have a pipeline that extends out for projects not only this year, but we're looking at who might be likely to purchase or build or expand in the next 2 to 3 years, so we can properly make sure that they're getting into the fund at the right point. And we also execute, I mentioned the federal credit enhancement grant Through that, we separately operate our lease guarantee program, again, looking to support schools at every stage, and that includes schools that aren't in a position yet to purchase a facility, but they still need to. We want to make sure that we're getting them the best deals possible. Equitable Facilities Fund, Sean talked a little bit about their role, but they handle all of the loan underwriting decisions. So once we've got a school in the pipeline, we've vetted them, they meet the requirements that we're looking for to participate in the fund, it's still loan underwriting. And so the schools still have to meet all those covenants, and EFF does a great job of going through and evaluating that and making some, and putting together some great deals. And ultimately, the most important who in the Nevada Facility Fund are the schools. The schools, their responsibility is they pay on their debt service and to put those savings to use in the classroom. That is their primary role and responsibility as it relates to the fund. Next slide. Again, Sean talked a little bit about some of the criteria, but the process. So Opportunity 180, we work with a number of schools in a variety of means, but we're always cultivating the pipeline for the facility fund as well. Working with schools through check-ins, different touch points, but we also, there are a lot of schools that we don't touch in the state of Nevada. And so we've got a lot of opportunities for schools to reach out and express interest in the facility fund, both through some online means, email communications, and landing pages on both our site and EFF through the Nevada Facility Fund webpage. It's got a lot more information on there. Submitting an inquiry form gets the process and the ball rolling. To be eligible for the fund, schools must be nonprofit, charter, or CMO. They must be serving an under-resourced community. They must be able to demonstrate strong current financial performance and future financial plans. And they have to demonstrate strong academic performance. The fund does look at what are the academic measures for the school? Are you serving a population that is typically or historically under-resourced and underserved? And those are the primary metrics that we're looking to get in ahead of all the loan underwriting. So I mentioned I was here a year ago, and this is what we've done really in the last year. We talked about 3 schools that we felt really good about in the pipeline. All 3 of those loans have closed. They are currently serving collectively just under 1,600 students. And as they continue to expand into their facilities that they were able to purchase or grow with the facility fund, they will be serving just shy of 2,300 students. We have specific metrics that for the population that we're trying to serve through the State Infrastructure Bank agreement. You can see on the table there that we are outperforming all of our metrics with the student population for the schools to serve. And I'm happy to report that the schools that are in our pipeline for future deals are continuing to meet these metrics as well. I'm going to be pretty brief on these next few slides as we go through. I think you all are aware of the schools that we've been able to partner with and get deals closed. The first one being Futuro Academy, and over in East Las Vegas, 100% FRL, 45% English learners. Their loan is enabling them to save around $130,000 per year on their facility expenses. And it was a big loan. It was a $12.2 million loan that we were able to get through for them. So really excited about the opportunities with Futuro Academy. The next school that we closed chronologically, admittedly, is not an SPCSA chartered school. How they are authorized by Washoe County, but Mariposa Language and Learning Academy up in Reno is a dual language bilaterally sealed school. Again, they were able to, with the facility fund, purchase their existing building and the adjoining lot, build onto that, and double their enrollment over the next few years. So excited about that one. And the next slide will show our most recent closed Nevada Facility Fund deal, which was Beacon Academy of Nevada. Beacon does a great job of serving as an alternative high school for credit deficient students. They are going to be able to increase their enrollment. It's recently approved by the board here, I believe just a few months ago, upwards of 600 students with this loan and the facility project. The next slide, we can talk a little bit about the next phase. So as we're continuing to work with schools, we don't like to specifically identify them, but just again, some of the schools that we're continuing to work with, schools that are looking to serve at needs populations through an autism expansion campus, schools that are doing a great job, 5-star high school in East Las Vegas, and a 4-star K-5 school out in Henderson. So we're really excited about the pipeline. These are projects that are looking at over the last half of 2025 and a little bit into 2026 for likelihood. They're at various stages right now, but these are the next 3 that are in discussion for the facility fund currently. This next slide is, again, adjacent to the Nevada Facility Fund. I've mentioned it a little bit throughout, but we also, through our Federal Credit Enhancement Grant, operate a lease guarantee program. We are trying to support schools at all stages, and the main focus of our lease guarantee program is to give our schools that are very early stage, that are looking to build up both the academic performance, the demonstrated academic performance over their early years, build up their cash flow, be able to demonstrate their enrollment, but still have some facility security. A brand new year 1 charter school on paper is not always the best bet for a tenant. There's risk when a landlord is looking at signing them on. So with this facility lease guarantee program, we can come in and guarantee up to $500,000 over 3 years for a new charter school to support them in getting better lease terms, support them in negotiating lease to buy options or early out options if they have an opportunity for a long-term home, and ideally put them in a position to access a facility fund as they go into years 3, 4, or 5. The facility fund or any other really long-term financing option. We want to make sure that at the early phase schools, we're trying to relieve some facility burden on them as well. So this has created a ripple effect, and a great example of that is a school that recently purchased a facility, did not do it through the facility fund, but because of the facility fund launching, because of us being able to bring in some federal credit enhancement dollars, we've been able to attract in some other great partners into the market, and Vegas Vista Academy was able to leverage a lease guarantee award with some outside bond financing and close on a facility to operate in for year 2 and beyond as their permanent home. The ability to give a new charter school their permanent facility on an ownership stake in year 2, single site, fresh start, independent school. We are extremely, extremely excited about that opportunity and the ability to prove that out and try to make that come to light for more schools in the future. And that wraps it up. So I'm happy to take any questions on the facility fund or the lease guarantee program. Thank you.
Chair Homestead, thank you, Mr. Frazier. We appreciate you so much. I would ask if there are any, I beg your pardon, any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom.
Vice Chair Thigpen, for the record, thank you for the presentation. It's great to see just some in-depth information on how you all operate and assist charter schools in the state. I have 2 questions. The first one on the 3-year lease program that you mentioned. I'm just curious to know, after those 3 years are over with, do you have any insight on how well these schools have performed in terms of their lease obligations afterward?
Ray Frazier, for the record, not yet. We have 2, I believe the slide shows that we've got 1. We actually have 2 official signed awards through that program. And so we've yet to see what it looks like after. The ideal scenario is, best case scenario is a school comes off of a lease guarantee and is no longer needs a lease guarantee because they're able to purchase a facility. Whether that is the facility they are currently in, if it suits their needs for years 4 and beyond, or we've put them in a position where they're looking for their long-term home during years 1 and 2, and financially they're more able to do that. through this program.
And kind of a follow-up to that question, for the 3-year lease program, in terms of like the types of facilities, or I guess moreover, the lease agreement itself, in terms of like the percentage of that school's income that goes towards a lease, do you guys have requirements of what that percentage needs to be at?
Ray Frazier for the record. We don't have requirements. We are strongly encourage them. And one of the things that we're working with the school that's in our pipeline currently with this is the lease guarantee carries value. And so we strongly encourage them to go back and look at their lease and make sure that that value is recognized in their lease agreement. We did have a school that's a potential that brought us a lease that had some escalators in it that we deemed would not be very successful for them, not very supportive of them in the long term. And so we pushed them to go back to that landlord before they signed the lease and try to make sure that a $500,000 safety net is represented in how the landlord is working with the school.
Okay, and my last question is, we have had, a lot of schools where, they just want to get open, they make a deal, and suddenly after a certain period of time, their lease agreement balloons.
Yep.
Have you been approached by any of these schools who are kind of looking for a Hail Mary to seek some assistance?
Ray Frazier for the record. Yeah, we work with several of the schools in our portfolio are in a situation like that, where they ultimately, the options are very limited when they get set up and when they're trying to get open and finding a facility. And I think oftentimes what gets sold at the beginning is the prospect of hit your enrollment targets, demonstrate academic results, and then in year 3, when this balloon really hits, you'll be in a position to exercise the purchase option. I think one of the things that's been lacking in the past are the financing mechanisms to actually support a school in exercising those purchase options. That's what we're trying to come in and support. We are also trying to support getting away from those balloons and the leases that accelerate in the way that they do, because that still makes it challenging. But we want to make sure that there is a robust amount of financing options, facility fund and beyond, where a school is hitting year 3 or 4, and they have that purchase option that comes available in their lease, that they actually have the financing options to make it possible. Whereas 3 years ago, it's great, you got to that purchase point, but there's really no financing options that allow you to exercise it. So then you get stuck with it. So we are trying to work with them on both measures, and it is difficult with schools that are hitting that balloon currently, but we are working with them.
I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Thank you. Thanks, Ray, for this presentation. Patricia Haddad Bennett for the record. So in follow-up to that, to what you were just discussing about working directly with the schools that are in some in more precarious situations than others, can you talk to us a little bit about how you partner with the school and then also how you collaborate with the agency when you're working through these pieces with the particular schools?
Ray Frazier for the record. So we're constantly working with the school to identify when those are coming due and what are their enrollment trends looking like. Obviously, the key and most reliable and sustainable measure for a school is being able to hit your enrollment targets. Those are you build up your financial model. Your lease pro forma is built on enrollment assumptions, right? And being able to hit those metrics. So we are constantly working with our portfolio schools on enrollment and on performance. I believe you'll get receiving a presentation from our colleague Jackson Olson later today about some of the ways that we're supporting schools through improving academic performance, which is also key to driving enrollment. As we're identifying those things, we're trying to connect them and cultivate relationships with a wide range of financing partners that we're continuing to develop. So whether that be through the facility fund and looking through options at that, looking at options on how the credit enhancement lease guarantee program can support a school as they're getting to these points, and being able to leverage that as we bring in outside parties and other financing options. Wes Olson was up here earlier and mentioned about how they've been working with charter schools. And so those are the ways that we're trying to put the pieces together and really get clear and help support the schools on what do you need to be able to demonstrate? What is the financial position you need to be in at this point to exercise these options? And then we will provide some technical assistance. We brought in contracted TA to help build out some financial performance for schools so that they can really see, if I want to get to this goal by this date, here's what I need to do. Here's what it looks like financially. Here's some tough decisions I may need to make. And then we'll bring the other financing partners to the table so that they can put it all together.
Thank you. Any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Thank you so much for your presentation. Appreciate it. Trustee Richards for the record. So I have a question on your last slide about Vegas Vista, and we'll use them as an example just because it says a first-year charter school. So when you obtain bond financing to purchase the school building and it's a first-year charter school and you specifically stated enrollment is key, what does the criteria look like in terms of the bond piece? Because we can't guarantee that there'll be enrollment, right? So especially I want to say that's maybe a K-3 school. So what does that look like?
Yeah, Raymond Frazier for the record. So it is largely looking at how they hit with their enrollment goals for year one. What are their enrollment targets? And the lender came in and set up some interim benchmarks for their enrollment targets. Because ultimately what we see, and looking at enrollment trends both with charter schools, new charter schools coming in, and when they're seeing the types of growth that they see, the facility that they're looking at, they set a bare minimum or a bottom line. What is the bottom line enrollment that you need to hit for school year 25-26? What is the enrollment that you need to hit in 26-27? What is the feasibility of hitting those? So it's very much forward looking for their enrollment pieces. And they come in, they talk to these school leaders. That is something that is the school leaders' involvement in talking through their enrollment procedures, their community engagement procedures, their academic performance and strategies is really key, because if a lender comes in and they go in and they look at a school and they talk to the leader and they see systems that aren't well flushed out, they see academics that are inconsistent or practices that are inconsistent, it pushes them away. And so in the absence of demonstrated enrollment performance, those are some of the key factors that they're looking at to give them some assurance that future enrollment projections, both what do you think you're going to hit, what is the bottom line you're going to hit, what is the likelihood of the bottom line, and is that feasible? Those are the ways that they're building that in.
Much appreciated. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Chair Holmes Sutton, can I ask a question? Sorry, thank you for indulging me. Katie was like, are you allowed to ask a question? I was like, I don't know, we're about to find out. So I just have something you said like struck a chord with me. It sounds like they come in, they're doing a lot of work with the school leaders. Can you talk about the work that these companies are doing with the boards? Because honestly, that's what I'm personally very worried about, is that like, do the boards understand these leases that they're signing? Do they understand these bonds that they're signing? So what's the role of the board in that process?
Ray Frazier for the record. Yeah, the board is very much involved. So the board isn't involved, I would say, when they're coming and looking at school academic and that such of it, part of it. But all the financing calls, when Vegas Vista is going through the process, their board chair his name is escaping me right now. He was heavily involved and a lot of the calls and meetings with the financing partner. I was on calls with him talking about the lease guarantee program and what that could look like. So from that example and that standpoint, board chair was heavily involved in that aspect. And I can say with the facility fund, the board involvement is not really like encouraged or a nice to have, it's a need to have. The boards have to be involved when a school is coming on and signing these long deals, because ultimately, as any long-term lender looks at, and we're fortunate to be attracting some that work with charter schools in other markets and just haven't really worked with charter schools here previously, they also understand that ultimately if a school leader changes, that school continues to operate because it is the board that is the ultimate end stop of responsibility for the school. And so if you've got turnover, you can't cite turnover in leadership and say, well, the last school leader signed this bond deal and we don't want to do it anymore. It is on the board. They're the responsible parties. And so through the facility fund, the team at EFF does a great job of engaging with the board throughout the process.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board colleagues online? I believe I have a question, if I may, and that is an appreciation one for working with school leadership. I'm making assumptions that you're meeting with those individually. Is there an opportunity where others can learn from listening in? And so are you meeting with schools collectively so that they can learn from one another as they consider this process and this opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. Ray Frazier for the record. Thank you for that. We coordinate and help facilitate. We don't like to say lead because the charter school leaders lead it, but we have the Charter Leader Consortium that we help to facilitate and organize. And multiple times we've had some folks from EFF come and talk about the facility fund, the opportunities that it presents, what it looks like. We've done engagement around more general, what do facility opportunities look like in those spaces? And we start with that even as early as our Future School Summit that we do each fall, winter, depending on the year, where we are at the very beginning before a school begins writing their charter application. We are talking to them about what does the landscape of facility look like here? What are the options? Are the options opening in a temporary facility to prove your enrollment, prove your academics before you look to a long-term spot? What does a timeline realistically look like in Southern Nevada that is different than if you've opened a school in California or if you opened one in Arizona? What do zoning requirements look like? So we bring all those together, both through internal facilitation, but we also bring in the external partners and some of the facility groups that we work with.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Are there any questions, any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom or online or from staff? We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As we transition to agenda number 8, I want to acknowledge that we will take a convenience break following agenda item number 9 for 10 minutes prior to transitioning to agenda item number 10. As we move forward, agenda item number 8, new school updates, deferring to Director McKinnon.
All right, we have 2 schools that are on track to open this fall who will be presenting to you today. First up, we will have Brandolyn Thran from the Nevada Classical Academy in Elko. I will turn it over to her to introduce herself and anyone else from her team who is with her. She will provide a brief update on facilities, enrollment, and hiring, and then we'll take any questions that you have.
Hi, good morning from Elko. Can you guys hear us?
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to present to the board. My name is Dr. Brandolyn Thran, and I'm the school leader at Nevada Classical Academy. And with me is our registrar, Miss Kat Heron. And we are here to just give you the quick update as with regard to our enrollment. We have 88 fully enrolled students. And our enrollment just continues to increase. Each week, we're receiving applications as we continue to engage with our community and help them understand that we are a new school that has space available. We have another charter school, as you're familiar with, EIAA, and so we're having to really work with our community to understand that there are now 2 charter schools in our community, and so that continues to happen. With regard to our facility, it is up to date and ready to go with, we're waiting for the walls to be painted, and that's happening this next week. All of our furniture and fixings are scheduled to be delivered in July. So that's working as planned. And I think that concludes my update. I feel like there's one more.
I appreciate you, Chair Holmes Sutton. Are there any questions from board colleagues online?
Staffing.
Was there something you'd like to add?
Yes, I just remembered. I remembered there the third thing. Thank you. Staffing. We have our teachers hired, and our we begin training in June next month. We actually have our first Jumpstart literacy training. We have Jumpstart math training in July and August, and we have full staff slated. So our support staff, in addition to our teachers, we have all the positions filled.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Member Shanti Rosales, good morning. I'm sure it's a lot cooler there than it is in Las Vegas. We're starting to feel the heat out here. I just had a quick question. You mentioned that some of your community was slightly, you had to educate them that there are now 2 schools. Can you just explain, like, did they think you were a branch off of the other one, or did they think you were something else? Can you just articulate a little bit of that confusion for me really quick?
Yes, Brandel Thron for the record. Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, a lot of people are thinking we are in addition to EIAA or something connected to EIAA. And so we have to just continually clarify that we are a unique entity that's separate from them. And I think the confusion is further exacerbated because we're going into the old EIAA building. And so remember, EIAA has moved to a new building, which was perfect timing for us. However, the community is confused because now there's another school in the exact same place that's not EIAA. So yes, that's the confusion, is that we are connected with EIAA.
And if I could just add to that, what has kind of caused this team, Nevada Classical Academy, additional problems is the word is out that the charter school's full and there's a big wait list. And so that's really the battle here, is that like, no, this is a totally different school. It's not full. It's not having a wait list. So I think that's the like kind of crux of that battle for the school, but sounds like they're making some good headway.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I was just trying to understand and know it. You didn't hear all of the ohs in the room when we're like, you're in the old building of where the old school was. So now that makes complete sense makes sense that now we understand the confusion. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? If I may, I would like to ask a question. Would you share with us what your targeted enrollment is with consideration for the 88 fully enrolled?
So our target enrollment for our application was 100 students, and our fully enrolled is 113 students.
Thank you. Appreciate you. We appreciate you being here. I don't believe we have any additional questions. Good luck as you pursue your endeavors and preparing to open. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
I'll defer to Director McAdoo.
All right, next up we have Mike Tack from Wiley's, and he will introduce himself and provide the same updates.
Good morning, Chair Holmes Sutton, members of the board. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning and share our progress update. My name is Mike Tack. I'm the founder, CEO, and head of school for Wiley's, Western Youth Leadership Engagement and Empowerment School here in Las Vegas. So we don't get that cool weather up in Elko. So I'm happy to share our enrollment update first. As of yesterday, we had 296 completed applications, 242 accepted seats. That's an 82% acceptance rate. 172 fully enrolled students. That's 71% of our accepted seats. And at least 7 partially enrolled students, meaning we have some some of the enrollment paperwork, just not all of that quite yet. Regarding facilities, we're very, very happy with and proud of our facility, which is located at the historic Boulevard Mall here in Las Vegas. We have a third floor occupancy in what was a former Macy's building. It's been a source of quite a bit of excitement for the community. It's been a huge driver of enrollment once folks get an opportunity to see it. We've had quite a bit of positive news coverage around the facility, and we're just very, very excited for that. In terms of staffing, we are well along our way in terms of the staffing plans. We do have a number of positions hired. We also do have some positions that we're still finalizing. We have finalists for a number of the positions, but we are on track to be fully staffed by July 1st. Our first day for teachers will be July 14th, at which time we will start with our culture building, professional development, and kind of system building with our instructional staff. Yes, I think that's everything I have, and I'm very happy to take any questions from the board.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Member Shanti Rosales has a, I just want to say, good job with being creative. And correct me, Executive Director Mackinnon, if I'm incorrect. We had another school who attempted to partner with a mall, kind of. Is this like?
Yeah, Melissa Mackinnon for the record. I actually think they were trying to, that other school, if memory serves, they were actually trying to buy like an old JCPenney or Macy's or something, and it didn't work out. Like they couldn't come to agreeable terms, if memory serves. But yeah, this is super cool.
Yeah, I just really think that this is great. And just to let you know, you did mention the news and how everyone's all over it. I was contacted by relatives who don't even live in this state saying, you guys are putting schools in malls now? And I was like, yeah, you want to come see it? And they actually do want to come this summer and see where this school is in a mall, like it's, a UFO or something, which is great for Nevada because we are ingenuitive like that. So good luck. I can't wait to see it. And congratulations on the creativity with that.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board colleagues online? We appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you again to both of you for the updates, and good luck as you persist.
Thank you.
Transition. Thank you. Take care. Transition us to agenda item number 9, charter school contract amendment applications, and defer to Mr. Peltier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Danny Peltier for the record. Do&B Arts Academy of Excellence has submitted an amendment application requesting the SPCSA grant a good cause exemption and approve the school's request to modify grade level offerings. D-Bay was approved by the authority at the August 25th, 2023 board meeting. The school requested and was granted a deferral to open in 25-26. The school was originally approved to open in grades K through 2 and 6th. You'll recall that D-Bay was approved at the last meeting to expand grade level offerings in year 1 to K through 3 and 6 through 7th. D-Bay is now requesting the authority approve an additional modification to its grade level offerings to open with all grades K through 8. D-Bay still intends to primarily serve students residing in the 89108, 89030, 89031, 89032, and 89081 zip codes. SPCSA staff is recommending approval. D-Bay was originally approved to operate grades K through 8, and the school is responding to feedback from families. Additionally, as evidenced by the public comment received prior to this meeting and posted online with the supporting materials, SPCSA staff does believe the school will be able to fill the seats in the additional grade levels. A proposed recommendation along with conditions can be found on pages 2 and 3 of your recommendation memo. I'm happy to take any questions on behalf of staff, and I believe we do have representatives from D-Bay on the line to take questions as well.
Chair Sutton, thank you, Mr. Peltier. I would ask if there are any questions for staff from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom.
This is member Shanti Rosales again. I'm sorry, y'all. Just taking over today in this corner. I did just have a quick question because I looked at the recommendation from staff, and it looks like most of those requirements are due on June 1st. So can I just ask briefly, what's the status where we're at with enrollment as of May 30th, which would be today? Because it looks like they're supposed to have a specific number by June 1st. Please.
I'll let the school answer that because we meet with them, but it's been a few weeks since we've met, so I'm sure they've enrolled more kids.
Yeah, so I guess that is, thank you, Danny, directed kind of at staff.
Yeah, and just real quick on the conditions that you'll find on the memo there. Typically, past precedent, what we do is we carry the conditions over that are included as part of the initial charter application approval. And so these conditions come from when the deferral occurred back in 2024, I think it was. So some of those numbers there are probably outdated with regard to enrollment. And my expectation is that the school will say they have far surpassed some of those that are due tomorrow. But like Executive Director McAdin said, we'll go ahead and defer to the school on the exact numbers.
Good morning, SPCSA board, SPCSA staff. This is Chambrion Treble for the record. Yes, just responding to your question, we have 161 students fully enrolled with about 222 applications in the queue. Many of those applications are almost close to being completed, but with a few things like expire IDs and many other barriers that families are facing. So we're just waiting on documents to be received from those families.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions from board colleagues? Member Salcido?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question, just in terms of if the amendment allowing for new grades, obviously that means you would need new staff or additional staff. And that's always the balance, right? Particularly with questions of enrollment. But I'm assuming from a budgetary standpoint, you're able to hire that new staff and still be fiscally sound. And where are we on the process of hiring? Obviously, you wouldn't hire them before we got this approved, but just how confident are you on that this late in the game?
Yes, there's a lot of staff that interview with us, and just simply because of not having the available position just yet, based off our K3, 6th, 7th model, a lot of them were just told to come back next year when we do open, which is November 15th of 2025, as that's when we open for the 26th and 27th school year. So we've been reaching out to some of those people like, hey, if you're still interested, we want to bring you back in. And then there's been a lot of, when we reopen applications for like a potential 2 more elementary, 1 more middle school teacher, a lot of people are just sending in applications now. So we're in the process of phone screens, which we're taking our time, but we wanted to wait for the official approval before we went ahead for those final interviews. But other than that, the K3, 6th, 7th team is fully hired. The board is just waiting on us to be approved so we can add in the remaining positions.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues?
Thank you, Member Haddad Bennett. So this is just along the lines of Member Shanti Rosales' question. So the second condition on the proposed motion is to submit a fully executed lease by June 1st. You guys are all good to go. You've got everything you need for that? Okay.
Chambrion Treble for the record, we move in the building. Well, we're supposed to move in June 1st, but Monday is June 2nd. So we will be in, we're waiting for Vegas Vista. I think they move out on Saturday, so it'll be just a smooth transition. So we do have the signed lease.
Any additional?
Oh, I'm sorry.
My apologies, please go ahead.
Chambrion Treble for the record, yes, we've surpassed the goal that was originally set, which was 60 students, but that was just in case we were going to be in the same building, but we switched locations. So we anticipated just surpassing that goal anyway with K3 and 6th, 7th. So we've hit our K3, 6th, 7th goal, but we're trended to go well above that goal if we indeed open 8th grade, kindergarten through 8th grade, all grade levels with small class sizes.
Thank you. Another call for questions from board colleagues, either in the boardroom or online. Seeing none, I would welcome a proposed motion.
Member Shanti Rosales will give the motion. The proposed motion is to grant D&B Arts Academy of Excellence Good Cause exemption request and approve D-Bay's request to modify grade level offerings with the following conditions. By June 1st, 2025, provide evidence that D-Bay has 60 or more students fully enrolled for the 2025-2026 school year. By June 1st, 2025, submit a fully executed lease for a facility that will meet the needs of the school for the 2025-2026 school year. By June 8th, 2025, submit a board-approved final budget that includes revenue based upon the confirmed enrollment and expenses that incorporate the cost of the identified facility. And lastly, complete the SPCSA pre-opening process for new charter schools.
Thank you. I would welcome a second.
Board Member Ibarra for the record, second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the proposed motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any in opposition? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Wish you continued success. It is approximately 10:25. We're going to take a convenience break as we transition to agenda item number 10. We will return at 10:35. Thank you. It is 10:35, and I will call us back to order, ask us to resume leadership. We're transitioning to agenda item number 10. We have 4 schools under agenda item number 10 that we will be hearing from. Delta Academy, Rainbow Dreams Early Learning Academy, Future Edge Academy, and Innovative International Charter School. I will defer to Executive Director McAdam. Thank you all so much.
Awesome. We have 4 Clark County charter schools, as you just said, that will be presenting information to you today. We will follow the agenda in order. So each school will take approximately 5 to 10 minutes to introduce its school mission, student population, and goals for the next school year. So first up, we have Delta Academy.
There we go. Good morning, Chair Holmes Sutton and board. I am Dr. LaShawn Fredericks. I am high school principal at Delta Academy, where change literally happens every day. Our mission is to provide a safe and nurturing instructional environment, support our students from various backgrounds, use differentiated instruction, reinforce positive character traits, and empower future leaders through education and innovation. Our vision is to maintain strong partnerships among students, parents, community leaders, faculty, and all stakeholders, provide resources to help students meet academic and personal goals. We serve a diverse community of students. Many enter with low academic skills, some are credit deficient, and some have histories of poor attendance and or behavioral challenges. Those behaviors and issues stem from challenges that are sometimes beyond their control because they are children. And those challenges include limited family social support, addiction, legal issues, and learning or emotional disabilities. As awareness builds about our online program, we grow, and we're enrolling students that expand beyond our zoned areas, including student athletes seeking flexibility to our online program, academically sound students who desire an alternative to traditional brick and mortar schools, learners who benefit from the structure and independence of virtual learning environment. All of this is enriched by our active community partners such as Project 150, CSN, Expertise Barber and Beauty College, and Shiloh CNA School, to name a few. They're also enriched by engaged parents who volunteer daily, attend monthly, bi-monthly parent workshops, quarterly family engagement events, and annual community engagement events. Our goals are to enhance our educational programs. In middle school, we have an intense intervention period. So our middle schoolers start their first period with working on building skills and addressing their learning gaps. Our high school students have individualized student success plans. And so every student has a success plan that is addressed quarterly, and they have a very innovative thing that we have implemented, which is a teacher-student conference. So our kiddos get an opportunity to talk with their teachers one-on-one and have the discussions that they are not very comfortable having in front of a classroom. Our additional goal is to improve our facilities. We plan to build a CTE building for certification programs that are inclusive of CNA, barber, culinary, and automotive, to name a few. We hope to build a gym soon to bring sports onto our campus, and an auditorium for our RAPA program, which is the Rock Academy of the Performing Arts. We have students who either take their core classes online or take their core classes in a classroom, and their electives are all music-based, and they put on about 5 different wonderful concerts every year. And of course, we plan to increase our star rating in both middle school and high school. An ultimate goal also is to maintain the strong partnerships that we've been able to achieve and promote lifelong learning for our students. Student focus areas. Let's talk about our students for a little while. We have students who are underprivileged youth. So we support them by providing academic support and life skills, and we help them overcome barriers in a nurturing environment. We have special needs students on campus as well. We offer inclusive and individualized learning approaches from trained staff with various teaching models. So we provide a lot of scaffolding to make sure that we are teaching them how they should be taught at the appropriate grade level. We have our high achievers. We provide advanced learning opportunities for our high achievers. We offer traditional online enrichment programs. We partner with CSN, so it is not uncommon for our kiddos to take college courses while they are at Delta Academy, and we are proud to say that we had one student who completed all of her requirements to enter the nursing program. So when she went to CSN, she jumped right into her nursing program because she fulfilled those things at Delta. And then we have our at-risk students. At-risk students can be any one of the students that I talked about previously, but with our at-risk students, I have 3 social workers and a psych. I call it my mental health wing, and we help them build resiliency and essential life skills that they need to thrive in our community. And we offer mentorship and support. Our goal ahead includes to expand academic offering, enhance student engagement, build additional community partnerships, and continue our commitment to excellence and student success. Key achievements for Delta: our graduation rate improved this year to 84.5%. We have high student satisfaction, and we launched innovative programs like the RAPA program, Rock Academy of the Performing Arts, and Grabbing Goals, which is a goal-setting, career readiness, get our kids ready for the real world program at Delta Academy. Overall, the ultimate goal of Delta Academy is to graduate students who are prepared for college, career, trade schools, and to develop critical thinkers who will act responsibly and enter society with confidence and essential life skills. Any questions?
Thank you, Chair Holmes-Sutton. Are there any questions from board colleagues online?
Member Stone, for the record, just one quick question, and I apologize if I missed it. How long has your school been in existence? When was it founded?
19 wonderful years. We're working on year 20.
Thank you.
I am proud to say I'm a founding member. Started as a long-term sub, and here we are now.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Member Stern. My apologies. Any additional questions from board colleagues online? Any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Hi, yes. Board Member Yvette Aldaba for the record. You mentioned that you have 3 social workers on your staff, but I only see 1 on your website.
Oh, we need to update that.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I actually have 3 social workers, 2 interns, and a school site.
Okay.
So we do a really good job of following Maslow's hierarchy of needs and hitting those basic needs and making sure that our kids reach self-actualization.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us, and congratulations on your 20.
Yes.
Sorry, Patricia had Bennett for the record. So just, you touched on this a little bit about wanting to increase the star rating, and congratulations on your increased graduation rate as well. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the strategies or structures, or how might you be doing things differently to increase that? Obviously, with a focus, I think I would say my biggest focus is obviously on student outcomes, in particular, reading and math, being on grade level and moving towards that direction.
Absolutely. We have, last year we hired a reading strategist, a math strategist. We have an ELA director. We have a curriculum director that have joined our staff. So we have all of those things in place, but our first period intense intervention piece is key to that, because we know that oftentimes kiddos come to us with those gaps. So that period gives time for those gaps to be filled and also to enrich our thriving students. So that is one of the pieces. And then we have incentive-based things on campus, of course, because you incentivize things and gamify things, and our kiddos tend to get involved. So with all of those pieces and us working together as a team, I'm confident that that middle school star rating will increase.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually have one other question. I was looking at your Nevada report card data from last school year, and it looks like you guys have 11% chronic absenteeism rate.
Mm-hmm.
What's your secret?
Our secret for day school, for sure, is I am a very present principal. I am not in my office very much. Like, I was called the sneaker queen this year because I keep my boots on the ground. I stand at that door every morning and welcome every kiddo into that room. If they're hungry, I get them food. If they're sick, we get them medical attention. If they're unhappy because they don't have a clean shirt, we get them a clean shirt. So we create an environment where our kids want to be there. We really preach to them that we know that there are external factors that they deal with every day, but when they come onto our campus, they have an opportunity to let that go for a moment and just be students. And as a leader of a school, I'm happy to say that my staff mirrors that. So it's a sense of community. There's a sense of belonging. Our parents are present. It's just a great learning environment. With all those pieces together, we will get where we need to be.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom? Member Salcido.
Thank you. No question. Just wanted to express my appreciation for the type of leadership that is being displayed with kind of actions and answers like the one you just said. I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Have the best day, you guys. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, Rainbow Dreams. Here they are.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Holmes Sutton, Board, and staff. I am Janice Henry, Principal and Executive Director for Rainbow Dreams Early Learning Academy. First, I want to say, pardon my voice. It may come and go, so I'm going to be deferring to my colleagues that will be here on the board to speak as we go over our presentation for today. We are very honored to be here. We're very thankful that you looked at our portfolio and said yes to it. So without any further ado, I will go ahead and we'll start our presentation. Well, before we just get off that slide, I would like to say those are actually our kinders that just graduated, and we were very proud of them. We had a total of 55 kinders that graduated this year, will be going off to first grade, ready to take on their educational journey, and 22 of them were from our pre-K3 program that had been with us for 3 years. Sorry, Christy, I had to say that. Okay, I'm gonna go right ahead.
Next slide. So Rainbow Dreams actually started in?
Actually, the brick and mortar that we're in, we started in 2007 in that. And the new model that we actually have started in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. So we have come a long way, as all schools have, and how the educational landscape has changed tremendously. So with this new model, we are going to talk about some statistics and show, but that why this model exists is because of the need.
Absolutely. So in 2020, actually in 2019, when we were brought on to redesign the model, we really looked into the neighborhoods, the specific zip codes that we would be servicing, and what was missing from the schools that already existed in those communities. You can all read the data that we have on our presentation already, but needless to say, we found that there was a lack of early childhood education that was available to this community, particularly because early childhood education tends to be behind a paywall. Unless your child qualifies for early intervention services, most people are looking at tuition-based services for their children. And the need for children under 5 is incredible. And so those children whose parents either don't have the economic stability or don't have another cause that's allowing them to access those early childhood interventions are kind of lost in that shuffle. According to the Urban Child Institute, 90% of brain development happens before the age of 5. And according to Hart and Risley, by the age of 5, children in poverty can be up to 14 months behind in language development compared to their peers. So economist James Heckman calculated that for every $1 invested in high quality ECE, it yields a return of approximately $4 to $9 in economic benefits. Next slide. And here we are with the return on investment. Children in ECE programs are shown to be 25% more likely to graduate high school, 4 times more likely to earn a college degree, 70% less likely to be arrested for a violent crime. Early childhood learning improves conflict resolution, social skills, and emotional regulation. Next slide. So here we come to our reason for being. Rainbow Dreams Early Learning Academy is dedicated to removing barriers to educational equity and ensuring that every child has the opportunity to thrive socially, emotionally, and academically. We believe in nurturing the whole child by fostering their physical, social, cultural, cognitive, and emotional development in a supportive, engaging, and inclusive environment.
And I'd like to add to that, the village in which we serve, our scholars there, we look at giving them a fair start, a healthy start, from getting them ready in the mornings, and that means providing them with their uniforms. We want to remove all barriers in a way that we can when they enter into Rainbow Dreams Early Learning Academy. We provide them with technology that they take home. We provide parents with support, wraparound services, as you will hear further into our presentation, where we collaborate with various different community organizations to bring them in. And so therefore, we're going to champion that whole child and make sure that we can also provide that same type of service in a different way to the parents. We provide a before and after school program at free of charge, where it's comparable to what most schools might have, like Safe Key. Ours is at no cost to our parents. It allows them to be able to go to work or provide other services that can help in the home, like continue their education. So we believe that this model is also championing the village, the parents, and making sure that we're providing the best high quality services to our early learners.
Next slide. This is just an overview of our current enrollment. We serve 89101, 89106, 89108, 89030, 89031, 89032, and 89081 area codes with ages 3, 4, 5, and 6 as our students. As Ms. Henry brought out, we champion removing economic barriers to scholar success. So we provide everything that they could need to be able to focus on their education. We provide them with food, uniforms, classroom materials, backpacks for home use. We have a technology lending library available to them. We also have partnerships with Amazon, who brings in food service for and groceries for our students, and they get to shop for their families. It's just, we really want to service the whole community. Our model is culturally responsive and trauma informed. And right now, 2/3 of our student population come from communities that fall 200% below the federal poverty line, according to the most recent census. Next slide. So some of our highlights, as Ms. Henry brought out, we have a strong emphasis on foundational literacy, numeracy, and STEAM. We have a before and after school care program that combines academic enrichment in a socially driven play-based setting. And again, that is free of charge for all enrolled students. We have innovative state-of-the-art technology in every single classroom. Every single classroom has hydroponic grow systems. It's just really incredible, the tools that we get our students, our little 3, 4, 5-year-old scholars involved in.
3-minute warning.
Next slide. So that's our curriculum, and you can read that on your own time, and as well as our data. I want to go ahead and next slide. Let's move over to our impact. And these are some of our current statistics. So this last academic year, 94.7% of our pre-K students were at or above level in language literacy as measured by Teaching Strategies Gold. 95.37% of pre-K were at or above level in mathematics as measured by Teaching Strategies Gold. 112.5% of kindergarten classes met their projected growth as measured by the MAP assessment. 74.23% of kindergarten students met their individualized MAP growth targets. 92.31% was our attendance in 24-25, according to the attendance membership summary report, and 85% of our parents are highly involved, attending 3 or more engagement events per academic year.
Next slide, please.
That's you.
Oh. Hi, as you can see in the data from NWA for the kindergarten MAP testing, this year in math, our kindergartners began with an average of 144.38. By the end of the school year, it jumped to 162.64 with an impressive 18 points increase. And in reading, they began with an average of 139.84 and jumped to 155.8 in the spring. And when we further break down to show if the students were enrolled in pre-K with 3-year-old, 4-year-old, so you can see if they were only enrolled in kindergarten only for the first time, they began with a slightly lower baseline.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you care to take another minute to review your slides? Would you care for another minute?
Could you please?
Yes,
We
certainly.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So you can see the first year students has a slightly lower baseline comparing to the rest of the student body, but they have shown over 20 points growth overall, and it shows that early and continuous exposure to our learning environment sets students up for success, and that even students who enter with a lower starting points benefit quickly from our enriching and supportive instructions at Rainbow Dreams Early Learning Academy.
And can we go two slides up to our goals? Excellent. So our goals for the upcoming year are expanding family access to digital learning tools and curriculum, expanding community partnerships and wraparound services, expanding our specialized literacy and STEAM instruction, expanding our program with a 2nd grade component, hopefully in the next couple of years, so it's in alignment with ECE credentialing practices and read by grade 3 literacy roles, and providing families with tools, resources, and culturally responsive programming and training for learning at home as well.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Are there any questions from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom?
Thank you so much for that, Trustee Richards, for the record. I do have a question. As it is primary, and I understand getting students to school is not their responsibility. Fully aware of that, but the chronic absenteeism rate online is 31.3%. So I'm just curious if you feel that's still accurate. I know it's from last year, but or what are the concerns you're having?
It's actually not accurate because it is last year's and it must not be updated. As far as absentee, I do believe we have a much lower absentee rate than what is posted there. For us to be able to have I think it was 93, that's definitely straight from Infinite Campus. So that's where we pulled that from. So if you did the statistic on that, it's going to not be definitely at 31% that you just mentioned. I do want to say that our parents and our students that come, we have I guess you could say, a welcoming committee with not just myself, but my teachers. We rally. So the moment we have one child that's out more than 2 days, not only are they receiving a call from that teacher, but they're receiving a call from Ms. Henry as well. So I'm not really concerned about our absentee rate because it is much lower than that. And we can definitely get you the actual percentage.
Thank you.
Member Richards, if I could just add one thing, couple points of clarity. This is a really unique situation with Rainbow Dreams. So they have pre-K and kindergarten, but the pre-K is not funded through Nevada Ready. It's funded by Clark County, not the school district, the actual county commissioners are funding that pre-K program. So it's a very unique setup, unlike anything in our portfolio, really probably unlike anything else going on in the state. So when you look at the NSPF on this school, it's only about kindergarten. So keep that in mind too, because those pre-K seats aren't part of NSPF. And so it does kind of complicate the data and the statistics for this school. Just want to make that very clear. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the clarification. We appreciate you. Any additional questions from board colleagues?
Thank you, Patricia Haddad Bennett. So I actually have a follow-up question on that, but maybe less so for staff and more for the school. So help me understand. So then it's just one grade that is ostensibly being rated on the school performance framework, but when I'm looking at the data online, I'm not seeing anything in relation to the school performance framework. So how are you rated? Are you on the alternative performance framework or not? Or what does that look like at the state level? What does that accountability look like?
The accountability is going to be for you guys to look at kinder. Our pre-K program, just to add what we were talking about on the absentee, that goes against. And so when you see that number, it's part of what we give accountability for. But just for the state, for all intended purposes, you guys are looking directly at the 84 students that we will be having registered. Right now we have 77. And so that is definitely where the majority of the performance framework comes from.
So I thank you. I appreciate that. So then to clarify for my understanding, you don't receive a star rating.
No, ma'am, we don't. We're kinder. Kinder is what you're evaluating, and there's no star rating.
Okay, but you're also not on the alternative performance.
No, we're not at this time. No.
Okay.
Melissa Mackin, for the record, I totally see where this is going, and this has consumed massive amounts of our time because obviously we are required to rate them, right? And so we are working on a pre-K manual that will be used as part of their evaluation, where they're going to have sort of a unique contract because they're not going to get the NSPF. So we're sort of outlining in their contract how they will be rated. And we're going to be using the for both kindergarten and pre-K, right? Because they're not going to get the NSPF. So we're going to be using whatever assessment the state has determined as the kindergarten screener. We're going to be using that. And then same for the pre-K. So right now it's teaching strategies gold, right? We're not going to define that in the contract in case the state changes, but we're basically saying whatever the state uses to measure pre-K, that's what we're going to use for our legal requirements to evaluate these schools so that you guys can do your job. And whatever they use for kinder, which they're moving from Brigance to teaching strategies gold, right? Yeah. then they will use that. So yes, it's created quite a like, how are we actually going to meet our obligations under these unique circumstances? Lots of conversations internally, but we're just about done with all of it. So, and we'll be bringing both those, the pre-K manual and any updates to the framework to the board for your approval.
Thank you, Chair Holmstead. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom?
I do. Thank you, and thank you for being here and your awesome presentation and the materials. I really appreciate that. Sorry, Board Member Iberdava, for the record. I'm curious to learn what is the name of the cultural responsive trauma-informed model that you're utilizing?
Right now, the model, we're actually reviewing a couple models, but our CEF is the person that has brought in the one with our social worker. So I'm missed if I try to give you the name, but I do know that we're using our contracted people's, the outline for that, for the trauma-informed process.
We're also incorporating specific literature into our curriculum that reflects the community right now. So we work closely with the bookstore. What's the name of it?
So we have a bookstore in the multicultural bookstore within the community that we are working with closely to provide us with additional books and programs that we will incorporate into our curriculum for the fall semester.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just curious just to learn, how that is impacting their learning environment and addressing student needs. And I also see that you have, family engagement, which I think is great, especially at this level, right? We got to start them young. And so I'm just curious to learn more about that and that impact. Thank you.
Mention anything that kindergarten has done with the cultural lesson plans? Sorry,
If you're talking about the parent engagement, we have every month we have the parent literacy night, and I think it's in the slide. It shows 85% of families have engaged in 3 or more times of the engagements, and is showing improvement in student growth as well.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom? Thank you again for being here. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, is there?
Sorry, Member Stern, I was raising my hand.
apologies, Member
That's
Stern.
okay.
I still have the presentation
Oh,
up. and I did
Member
just see
Stern, for
you.
the record, if I may.
Of course.
So you had mentioned that Rainbow Dreams was started in 2007, and then you moved to a new model in 2020. Can you share just a little bit more about what prompted that, what it was in response to, and how this new model is addressing whatever it was? And I understand, obviously, COVID had a huge impact on everyone, but it sounds like there might have been some other things that you were addressing. So I just want to better understand the shift and how you're meeting whatever those needs are, if you could.
Sure, Board Member Stern. I can't probably lay out the real reason initially because the founder of the school is that actually decided to make this model change is unavailable to be with us today. And so therefore we weren't really part of that process to know. Christy and I came on board to help develop, to help look at the curriculum and put that in place. I think when we last met, I think it was brought out that this model was developed to assist with and I'd like to say this, failing school. But what I would like for you guys to take away from today is that this model is developed so that we can begin to impact children before they get to grade 3. So that if we're looking at how we can actually make a huge change in what we're seeing with children that are not actually going to school at the age of 3, that perhaps could be learning at the curriculum level and learning and moving and making successful strides. This is why I believe the model exists today, is because early childhood, I don't believe we're giving enough emphasis, as Christy mentioned before. It's the paywall. If you're paying to go somewhere to a private school and get that type of education, then you're one of the fortunate ones. If your child receive services, then they're able to be a part of a program. What happens to the child that is in the middle? So I believe that the model is servicing children that will receive a high quality education and be able to serve. We're able to serve a community, an at-risk community that have children that have needs that we need to be able to assist and address.
I think part of it as well, my understanding, I came on in 2020, was that the county, Clark County, had at that point established that that was a significant need that was not being met in the community as far as having early childhood education. And they had actually opened it out for a number of different schools to apply for a grant in order to be able to meet that need for the community. And so when I was brought in, it was in the grant writing process of, how can we change this model to meet this clearly neglected area of the education system?
Member Stern, for the record, thank you. I appreciate that answer and definitely in recognition of the extraordinary need and the disparities that do exist for students who aren't getting those services and the access to education. It leads me into my next question. You mentioned a couple of times in your presentation a desire to potentially expand to second grade. So I'm curious how that fits in with the need that we're talking about here today. Just kind of understanding, since you brought it up, your goals for your school and where you see that fitting in. If you could just very briefly, I know that issue's not before us today, but just trying to understand your school and your place in our portfolio.
Part of that is a response to data tracking and the star rating system and all those questions that are coming up. We only right now service pre-K and kindergarten, and to be able to track the data and the growth and fit within that system, that's part of the reason we were looking at the expansion. Also, it's because as far as education goes and credentialing, 0 to 3 model, they are a specialized set of skills and go ahead.
The model is really an early childhood model. And we as educators know that the 0 to 2 credentialing that teachers receive, we would like to be able to at some point continue that model where that it expands and it is allowing us to look beyond just kinder. I think at the time that the founder was presented with this opportunity or the school developed this particular model, maybe that wasn't a discussion, but we would like to be able to see how our children, our scholars advance from kinder onto first, onto second. We all know that there is no star rating first to or kinder to second grade or third. The model for star rating starts in the testing. And so therefore, we would like to be able to get children ready and prepared to be able to be at that third grade level and to be not look at how even at the state level, we're looking at how read by 3 and the percentages of how high that is. How can we combat that? What can we do? And looking at a model that's pre-K to second grade, which I do believe, allow us to decrease that percentage of high numbers of students that are in grade in third grade and they're in read by 3 and the numbers are so high.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Chair Holmes-Hatton. And if I may, just want to express, certainly as a national board certified teacher in early childhood specifically, the excitement to have you all come on and definitely understand, right? Often people think early childhood is pre-K and kinder. It is, in fact, birth to 8 years old. And so the opportunity to be able to support our students in this regard and preparing them for their career trajectory to 12th grade and beyond, we appreciate your leadership and your commitment to this work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Next up is Future Edge Academy. I believe they are online.
We are online. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Holmes Sutton and board members. Thank you again for the opportunity today to share a brief update about the exciting transformation underway at Future Edge Charter Academy and the opportunity to be joining SPCSA. You can go to the next slide. Our vision is to become a global leader in engineering and technology education, recognized for our commitment to excellence, equity, and innovation at Future Edge. Next. Our mission is to reshape education for the future by blending STEAM instruction with digital resources like coding, AI, real-world project-based learning. We are aiming to empower every student to become a critical thinker, an ethical leader, and a resilient problem solver in a rapidly evolving world. Next. Our journey started as 100 Academy opened in 2006. Last summer in June, we relaunched and rebranded as Future Edge Charter Academy with a full cultural and academic reset. And part of that rebrand and relaunch included an academic overhaul addressing new curriculum, some targeted interventions, and a renewed school culture. We also had quite the aesthetic transformation with updated exterior paint, interior, flexible seating furniture in all of our classrooms, and some updated technology. And most importantly, the academic momentum we're extremely proud of. Since 2021, we've seen significant increase in student growth and some increase in student proficiency once those learning opportunities had closed. Next. Our academics, as we discussed in the academic overhaul, we adopted rigorous research-based curriculum. Our school grades K through 8 uses a reading program called Wit and Wisdom, where the students are reading full novels, not just the basal readers that I think most of us are used to when we were attending school. For math, we're using Eureka Math Squared and iStations to get the students hands-on and visually engaged in mathematics. For science, we're using STEM scopes in OpenSciEd and Project Lead the Way for that STEM integration. We are also using Skillstruck for the part of the AI and coding courses that our students are taking. And our moving forward to our academic goals for next year is looking to increase to 40% proficiency in ELA and 30% in math, and increase our science proficiency to 35% as indicated on the SBAC assessment. Some of our academic highlights, I'm not going to read all of them to you, but we are excited to share that the scores that we have seen and some of the data that we have looked at through supporting our teachers and giving them some engaging strategies show that we are definitely on the upward trajectory, and we are eagerly anticipating our SBAC results so that we can see an increase on our star rating for both the elementary school and the middle school. A couple things that are kind of exciting notes, all of our students combined have written over 16,000 lines of code in the second semester of school this year, and all of our 8th grade students were promoted to high school. We have also seen a significant growth in enrollment as well. Currently, our enrollment is sitting at 255 with our projections to 292 for the upcoming school year. Our long-term goal would be to have about 500 students in the next 5 years. Over the last 3 months, between March and May, we have received as many interest leads as we did all of school year 23-24. So of those 200 leads, we have enrolled over 65 new students and have some still scheduled for tours and their registrations for appointments. Some of the demographics is that we are a Title I school with a student body that is 69% African American. and really training our teachers to cultivate an inclusive, future-focused classroom. And again, Future Edge is not just representing the rebrand, right? It's a new era of what is happening here at the school site for innovation, equity, and achievement. With the support of SPCSA, we believe we have the tools to continue expanding access to high quality education in the North Las Vegas area. And we just wanted to say thank you. We are the Phoenix and we are rising, and we appreciate you supporting us to rise together.
Thank you. We appreciate you. I would ask if there are any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom.
Matthew Brewer for the record here. So what type of resources and skills are you providing your K-8 students to develop AI, and what is meant by development exactly? Like, will students be developing linear regression models or like large language models, or like, what is the extent of their development?
Excellent question. Our students are we are teaching the students how to use AI as a tool and not replace their thinking. The founder of our management company is heavily involved in the AI development portion of that. I believe Mr. Pandy, if he's on, is here. He can definitely address the development that he is bringing to the schools for the students.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. My name is Andy. Yes, we are actually working on multifold. So there's a student piece and there's a teacher piece. Also, we are directly working with Department of Education on our tool called Alpha Tutoring, which is essentially a one-on-one personal tutor that allows every student to specifically work between a K through 12th grade model to have an individualized learning need. Linda McMahon actually visited our campus a month and a half back, and we did our personal, like a whole for what that our demo for what our tool looks like. We are planning to launch it in August in all our classrooms. It'll basically provide every teacher in our classroom to have AI presence that allows them to use that tool within the classroom, but also allow parents at home to use that tool when the student goes home in a homework help or things like that. But outside that, on a general process, students right now are using in different capacity, specifically around image generations, video generations, podcasting, video casting. We also do learnings and things like that. So those are things that we have been working in the last 18 months, but we are actually going leaps and bounds next year. And we will actually use it for personalized tutoring for every student in our campus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Baru. Are there any other questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Thank you all. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We'll transition to our last school presentation.
All right, last but not least, we have Innovations International Charter School. And I believe they were planning to present their own slides. There we go, they got it. I will just.
Yes. Is it all right for us to go ahead?
Yes, please do.
Okay, good morning, Chairman Holmes Sutton, board members, and honorable guests. My name is Dr. Connie Malin. I'm the CEO of Innovations International Charter School. We have just completed our 19th year in service to our students in our community and are very pleased to announce that we're beginning year number 20 when the school opens again in the fall. Next slide, please. We were established in 2006. We are an accredited K-12 public education school through Cognia. Our mission is to provide a safe learning community and empowering our students to be responsible citizens. You can see by our demographics that we're primarily Hispanic Latino school. Of those, a large percentage are second language students. Many of them we get not just from the kindergarten level, but through to high school as they transfer in during the academic year as non-English speaking students. Next slide, please. We have 3 goals specifically for the school. The first one is to educate our students for life. So we're working on preparing them for college and career readiness. We're working on goal number 2 to make sure that the learning environment is safe, that students collaborate, learn how to use their words rather than getting upset and having actions they cannot understand why they're reacting the way they are. We're learning at helping to keep them engaged. What we're finding from our students at the middle school and high school, especially because we do have a high chronic absentee rate, is they want more of an experience where they're feeling like they're engaged, they're doing more hands-on learning, they get a say in what's going on in the classroom. So we've begun to reshape some of the curriculum that we're offering. Goal number 3, we want parents and family members in the school. We want them to share their expertise. We want them to understand what their children are going through on a daily basis. Prior to COVID, we had lowered our chronic absentee rate to a 13%. We had 4 times a month that we were doing activities for parents on literacy, mathematics, technology, and different pieces. Now parents are just beginning to come back into the school. So it is something we've been working on for the last 3 years. Next slide, please. We have received multiple awards for this current school year. We were invited to be awarded by the doers, drivers, and change makers as a school that's driving innovative education, making a change in the life of students. It was their inaugural year. I believe that this current year, they went to Northern Nevada and recognized schools in that area. We were also recognized by the National Association of Special Ed Teachers as the only charter school in the state of Nevada to be deemed an exceptional charter school for providing special education services to its students. We have an elementary robotics team. Our robotics team has placed for the last 3 years in the top 10% of middle school competitions as elementary students competing. We were also awarded a bronze winner of the Best of Las Vegas for 2024. Next slide, please. Our graduation rate, you can see we work very hard with all of our students to make sure that we're consistently reaching an 85% and above graduation rate for our high school students. We had 100% of them graduate this past school year, so we're working hard at keeping those numbers where they need to be. Next slide. 3 strengths we have for our school is that we offer extended specialized student services. We use our Title I money to do tutoring in small groups, especially for the children that are struggling in literacy at the kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade level. At grades 3 and above, and also for K through 12, we have before and after school tutorial sessions. We have academic strategists, one in language arts and mathematics for each of the campuses to go into the classrooms, observe how the students are doing, work with the teachers, pull them and prepare them not only for the testing, but to fill in the gaps for where they're struggling and falling behind. Our school culture values diversity. And so what we've been working on this year is that we've become a Leader in Me school, so that students and teachers and parents work on becoming engaged, sharing the leadership, and taking an active participation in the child's education. Then finally, we're working on courses that are planned to meet future careers with the technology fields and aviation. We have for 6 years now worked with the AOPA and worked on giving academic courses at the high school for aviation, fields, flight, and we actually have students now that are obtaining their pilot's license. What we're looking to do and what we started last year in preparation to become a STEAM accredited school with the governor is that we've backed the program from the high school all the way down to the kindergarten level. And we have partners with Drone Legends and Next Wave STEM, where our students are learning how to do artificial intelligence. They're learning manned and unmanned space flight. They're doing virtual reality. They're doing robotics. They're doing a lot of the pieces for hydroponics as well. We call those our squadrons. Next slide, please. So that what we're doing is, you can see each of them are listed there. We're working so that we can capture students in an area that they have interest, interface the artificial intelligence and coding through all of the fields. And then we've actually introduced virtual reality with the virtual headsets so that the students can conduct a lesson and then take a trip virtually to get that real life experience where they're immersed in the world that they're studying. We're very excited this year at the drone level at the high school. The students actually competed, our drone students, I think there were 10 of them on the team, competed virtually in virtual drone racing with some schools out of Washington and Oregon. Next, please. We are working for the 24-25 school year and beyond on refining our culture of learning. So what we're going to be doing is working with students to have more focused groups on what their needs are and what would keep them enticed in being in school. At the high school level, our seniors present a problem, as many of them are out because their families need financial assistance. So they tend to leave school or come in late because they have a job that they need to work because parents need help feeding families at home. We're also looking for the leadership for learning, which is why we introduced the Leader in Me, so that the parents and the students and the teachers all have a good working communication for where the students need to be, what part we each play into holding that student up so that he or she can continue to move forward. We're
2-minute
looking
warning.
for, thank you. We're looking for engaging students in the learning because we want them to be immersed and we want to foster their creativity and high level of thinking. And we're looking at developing a growth in learners so that they understand what happens in the classroom affects what happens in their preparation for graduation and life after graduation. Next slide, please. All in all, we're looking on student-family engagement, consistent academic achievement. We're working to lower the percentage of chronic absenteeism. We're working on high levels of professional development. We're looking at working with the teachers to look at the data, understand it, be able to speak to it, and we want to enhance collaboration, not only with the homes, but between the grade levels and the subject levels in the school. Next slide. And finally, we work on relevance, responsibility, and relationship because we find those people skills are necessary for all of us to support the students. And I believe that's the last slide. So thank you very much for giving us a chance to introduce ourselves today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from board colleagues online? Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Very informative. I just have one quick question. So for your graduating seniors, what is the percent that go to college versus joining the workforce or potentially the military as well? Based on, because of your programming, you open up many different pathways.
If I track the students, probably 60% of them move on to college. Another probably 20% or so into the military because we've established a partnership with some of the branches as well as the National Guard. And the others go to a 2-year college to work on skills necessary to work in the family businesses so that they can take over the business for their families in the future.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
Director McAdam, are these the last of our schools that are Thank you. Just wanted to clarify, welcome again to all of our schools that are transferring into our portfolio. We're excited to have you be a part of our community and to collaborate with you. We appreciate you. Thank you. We will transition to agenda item number 11 and have a presentation from our former board colleague, Jackson Olson from Opportunity 180.
All right. As Chair Holmes Sutton just said, we're delighted to have a familiar face here for the following item. For those of you who are not familiar, Jackson Olson was previously served on the SPCSA board and was a very thoughtful colleague. He's here today to discuss both the CSP grant and the program he initiated through Opportunity 180 called Good to Great. And with that brief introduction, I will turn it over to Dr. Olson.
Thank you. Great to be back here, members of the board and Executive Director Mackin. By way of introductions, my name is Dr. Jackson Olson, and I was a former founding charter school principal, and then moved from that position to working with the largest charter network in the country, KIP, for 4 years. During that time, I was also on the board, so it was working with a national team and then working here locally with the SPCSA. But it was in the last year that I actually got to really dig into local work when I joined O180 last fall. And so as Director Mackin mentioned, the work that I started is called Good to Great Strategy, so you're going to hear me say that a lot. And wanted you as a board to just be aware of what we have been doing in the last year with a handful of our portfolio schools, then also give you a little preview of what we're going to be doing in the coming academic year. So that, yeah, we can go to the next slide. First question, what is the Good to Great strategy? You can see there in the materials that we launched it in the fall. We piloted it with 6 of our portfolio schools. You can see those schools represented there. And it's important to note that those schools opted in. This was not forced or required as part of a notice of concern or anything like that. It was a choice that these school leaders made, some of whom are in this room. And they were opting into what you see in that blue box. They were opting into a lot more direct support, which was new for Opportunity 180 and in some cases new for these school leaders. So this meant lots of visits to their school. And it meant a lot of data collecting, and it also meant that I was regularly on calls with them or doing coaching sessions with them at their school throughout the entire school year. I want to note before we move to the next slide just that what you see in that blue box, historically with Opportunity 180, we have gotten involved in some of that work, usually in a more reactive way, due to a notice of concern or breach that came from this body. So wanted to name that, like when I came on and when we started this strategy together, we were doing this in an effort to be more proactive and working directly with schools so that they're not getting to that point where this board is having to consider, notices of concern or breach. So there's been, before we get into the data and how it's gone, the next slide will just share a little bit more about the why. So one of the challenges was that while we had the NSPF and the SPCSA frameworks, there was a lot about the performance of our schools that we didn't know. There's a lot of domains of school improvement that we just didn't have great insights into. And so as I mentioned, one of the big tasks this year was collecting a lot of data through school visits, through diagnostic visits, somewhat similar to some of the the types of visits the SPCSA does. But we collected a lot of data, and I'll share some of that in a moment. Another reason why we started Good to Great was because schools needed it. You all see the data. Some of our schools needed it from a turnaround perspective. Some of them needed it because they've kind of hit a ceiling around 3 stars and needed to kind of break through and needed some outside support in that process. And principals wanted it. So it was a good kind of confluence of needs there. And then ultimately, a big why behind the Good to Great strategy is that this will lead to more and has led to more collaboration between our leaders. We have a ton of schools, especially here in Southern Nevada, that are just operating in silos. We don't have a lot of big CMOs. And so these are independent mom and pop type charter schools who have a lot of leaders who feel like they are in a silo. And so this has led to some more collaboration, and as you'll see in year 2, it's going to lead to a lot more, which we believe will actually impact all of the outcomes in our schools, not just student achievement, but also like teacher and leader retention and sense of purpose in the work. So we're excited about that. Just a quick slide to share about some of our data. Our goal was to get into 7 schools. We got into 6, but our goal was ultimately to convert 7 of those visits into at least 5 full partners, and we actually exceeded that goal with having 6 full partners in our first year. We had 100% follow through on action plans. We had 100% of these leaders agree that this was helpful for them. And then 80% we met that goal of leaders agreeing that this led to stronger instruction at their school. Next slide. Just a quick snapshot of some anonymized data so that you can see some of the domains of data that we were collecting. Again, this is going beyond the NSPF or the SPCSA frameworks to really dig into the weeds of what is going well at your school, what are some of the challenges at your school, and how can we address them. Again, not doing that in isolation, but with a thought partner and with a coach. Next slide. I won't read this, and you can read this on your own time, but just basically wanted to share out some highlights of some of the responses and reactions from the leaders themselves, and how the work went this year. And overall, the feedback that we received was overwhelmingly positive, both in this kind of qualitative data, but you're going to see the retention rate and the expansion rate also speaks to, I think, leaders seeing value in this work. Next slide. So that's this slide where we can show you on the left side, we've got our original members. We had 6 in year 1, and out of those 6, 5 are returning to do good to great in year 2. And then everyone else on the right is going to be a year 2 partner. So these are leaders who have confirmed that they are going to be in the year-long commitment and cohort to work directly with O180 and with our partners that we've vetted to continue this good to great strategy. And I think, again, if I'm just taking off my O180 hat for a second and putting on a hat of a board member here, I think it's important just for you all to be aware that this is work that is happening at these schools, right? It's just good to know in your position when you're looking at the data, when you're looking at NSPF when it comes out this fall, who's working with O180 and what kind of support that they're getting. And of course, this is a pretty cursory overview of that support, and I'm happy to connect on a deeper level on the strategy and how it works in schools and how we work with our leaders. But these are our portfolio schools as of now, and I'm hoping to add a couple more before the start of the next school year. Next slide. In addition to just the expanded number of our schools, we have expanded the reach of our partnerships to support the increased interest. So essentially, I was doing the majority of the school support work and coaching with potentially now 13 schools, maybe 14 by the end of the year. I wouldn't be able to support them at the level that they would need or deserve. And so we're adding a lot of support from national organizations that do great work, went through a very, very thorough and rigorous vetting process to bring in TNTP, ANET, Bellwether, and Relay to continue this work and allow me to kind of be in multiple places at once when otherwise I would not have been able to. And then this is a nice segue to talk a little bit about CSP, which Executive Director McAdam was referencing earlier. So we are in the process of applying for the charter school program. We can go to the next slide, actually. This is a 5-year federal grant. Opportunity 180 has been involved in the current grant, and it expires this year. So we're in the process of applying for it currently. Of course, there are no guarantees, but we want to just make the board aware that we are in the process of the application. And if awarded, the CSP grant would bring millions of dollars to the charter schools here in Nevada. And those who become subgrantees and go through the process of applying for CSP and getting it would be eligible for a lot of technical assistance or TA dollars that would help them support purchasing high quality curriculum or getting additional instructional coaching or training or development or things like that. So there's a lot of different ways that this CSP money can play out in our schools, but ultimately, if awarded, it will be a huge, I see it as adding a lot of value and impact and enhancing the good to great strategy just through sheer ability to purchase or acquire the services or things that we would need to make the work really effective. So TBD on that. We'll have more in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Dr. Olson, if I may, as school leadership come into good to great, are they being structured as cohorts and or are they just engaging as individual school leadership?
Great question. In year one, it was not a true cohort model that included like group meetings or group collaboration sessions. And that is one of the pieces of feedback that we are implementing for year two, where, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our leaders are feeling like they are in a silo and that their world is totally separated from the rest of Southern Nevada or rest of the state. And so hearing that feedback, we have 3 different cohorts that are going to be operating simultaneously next year around teacher coaching and development and around interim assessment and data analysis. So 3 different cohorts depending on where people chose to kind of opt in.
Thank you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Kindly.
Thank you.
As we, my apologies for my pause and my darkened screen. As we transition to our next agenda item, I'd like to take liberties to take a 5-minute break. It's 11:47. We'll come back at 11:52 and continue. Thank you. Charter School, deferring to Director Broughton. And just wanted to, as we come into our remaining agenda items, acknowledge that as we engage as board colleagues, we're seeking to ask questions that would offer opportunities for concise, clear, and clarifying responses and engagement. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to be here, and we appreciate the journey that you've been on with us. We're here first and foremost to say thank you.
Excuse me,
Oh.
it's actually us, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There's actually not time in this one for the school to present, so the staff will present and then the school can ask questions of the board should they have any. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you.
All right, thank you. My name is Katie Broughton and I serve as the Director of Authorizing for the SPCSA. At the SPCSA board meeting on April 18th, 2025, Nevada Prep Charter Schools financial performance was considered for FY 2024. SPCSA staff recommended the board elevate Nevada Prep's current financial notice of concern for FY 2023 to a financial notice of breach for FY 2024. April's SPCSA staff memo is included as part of the meeting materials for today's board meeting. After extensive discussion between the school and the SPCSA board, the board moved to request additional information for FY 2025 and FY 2026 to consider before taking further action. The school submitted all of the past due financial items related to their financial performance except the monthly financial statement that was due May 1st, 2025. Additionally, on May 14th, 2025, the school submitted a letter from Opportunity 180 and Building Hope Real Estate, who is their owns the building that they lease, a letter from Raymond James, their amended lease agreement, an FY 2026 budget estimate with the current lease, an FY 2026 budget estimate with the potential bond financing, and financial projections for both the lease and potential bond scenario. Finally, the school participated in an enrollment audit on May 21, 2025, so that the SPCSA staff could verify the enrollment for FY 2026 as it related to the proposed budgets that the school had submitted. SPCSA staff provided analysis of all of those items. We analyzed the potential bond financing, we compared it with the current lease agreement, and we've included that analysis within the memo for the board's review. However, we do want to remind this board that the notice recommended is based upon the audited financial performance for FY 2024, and SPCSA staff continues to have significant concerns regarding Nevada Prep's financial performance. According to the Financial Performance Framework Technical Guide in place for FY 2024, quote, continued or significant evidence of materially weak financial performance observed through ongoing oversight and or failure to make substantial progress toward remedying previously identified concerns may result in further escalation within the intervention ladder, including a notice of breach or notice to terminate. This board has permissive authority to take the action you all believe is best based upon the FY 2024 financial performance as presented. While SPCSA staff provided analysis on the proposed bond agreement in various FY 2026 budgets and projections, the decision at hand should ultimately be based upon the FY 2024 financial performance as detailed in the April 18th, 2025 memo, which was included as part of this board packet. At this time, SPCSA staff recommends the board continue the financial notice of concern, but add in additional heightened monitoring. As part of this monitoring, Nevada Prep will be required to submit an amended final budget should actual enrollment not meet the budgeted enrollment. They will also be required to submit monthly budget to actuals, evidence of monthly payments to PERS, including evidence that the correct paperwork has been filled out, and provide access to any other accounting and financial records requested by SPCSA staff. The school will also be required to respond to any SPCSA staff inquiries and questions with complete information within 3 business days. We will have one dedicated staff member that will provide the ongoing monitoring of the school's real-time financial information. Should the school fail to provide any of the information by the deadline or fail to respond to any inquiry within 3 business days, SPCSA staff will return to this board at a subsequent SPCSA meeting and recommend the escalation of the notice of concern to a notice of breach. Staff wants to make it very clear that this will be a significant undertaking for the school, and it will require significant time and effort on the part of the staff and all of the representatives from the school. SPCSA staff will not take lack of response or late submissions from the school. Those will not be tolerated. And if the school fails to provide any requested financial information, the staff will return to the board and recommend the notice be elevated. Additionally, should the financial circumstances appear to worsen at any point during the monitoring period, SPCSA staff may return to the board with a recommendation to elevate the notice. With that, I will see if there are any questions from the board.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I will begin with board colleagues in the boardroom. Are there any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Certainly.
Vice Chair Thigpen for the record. Thank you, staff, for all the work that you put into this. I do want to acknowledge that with this proposed motion that our own staff will be likely taking on additional work to make sure that this happens outside of the scope of what you all normally do. So I want to show appreciation there. I do have a question for the school, whether that's someone from the board or the school in general. Candidly, if you're okay with this proposed motion, what I don't want to see happen is some sort of complaint coming to the board via email of, oh, this is unrealistic or something like that after the fact. Last year, when we voted to extend things, you all were again under a heightened notice of concern, providing monthly statements to us and things like that. So I just want to know if you're fine with this motion, because, you know, it's kind of say your piece now. So, yeah.
I would have to say that we are up to the challenge. And we appreciate the monitoring because we appreciate the opportunity to tell you and show you and document how we're going forward in really positive ways. So yes, we accept the monitoring.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Member Salcido.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to thank staff for all the work they're doing, and I also want to thank the school leaders for the last month, especially of providing staff with all that additional information as we requested. I don't have a question per se. I just wanted to, express on the record again. I still have the same concerns I had last time, and again, that's not a reflection of the current school's position or answers or any of the subsequent information that was presented in this past month. It's honestly, it's not even impacted by FY 2025 or the projections for FY 2026, right? And so my only concern is, in my opinion, as a board, we've adopted a financial performance framework, right? And the reason we have that is so that all parties concerned know what the standards are and know what they're going to be held accountable to. And so that's still my concern as it was last time. Again, nothing in this past month has changed that, but in either direction, right? This isn't something the school did or didn't do, especially this past month or even this past year, perhaps, right? It's just we have these standards, and I think there's a very good reason we have them. And thank you for your indulgence, Madam Chair. I just, like I said, wanted to get that on the record that's still my concern at this point. Thank you.
Chair Holmstead, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Member Stern.
Member Stern, for the record, I echo a lot of Member Salcido's concerns, and do want to acknowledge that I share the concerns in the staff memo, particularly surrounding the enrollment of 460, anticipated enrollment of 460 students, and with the cut of, to my count, it looked like about $250,000 in instructional costs. Certainly, these are ambitious goals, and I think we would all be hopeful that you would be able to meet the challenges that you've set forth for yourself. My question actually is more about the bond financing, and I don't know if this would be appropriate or for who would be able to answer this. I think Raymond James might be best, but around the 40-year bond. So I want to understand what, because this is a 40-year bond, right? That's a really long term. So what happens if the school does not remain open for 40 years?
The bonds are real estate secured. So, the bondholders, if the charter school wasn't around anytime during that term, the bondholders would have access to that property and could, sell it to another school, lease it to another school, or sell it on the open market. So these bonds are secured by revenues from the charter school and then the assets of the charter school.
And so if for some reason the school was not able to carry out the terms of its bond, would this have any negative impact on any other schools in our portfolio's ability to secure bond financing, or is each school considered independently?
Yeah, each school is underwritten independently. There are market factors that investors take into place, in particular, the 1-star rule and, the per pupil funding and cost of real estate and what's the, replacement value of assets. But ultimately, each credit is underwritten individually. So I wouldn't view one default in this market impacting financing outcomes for other schools in a vacuum.
And I appreciate your indulging me in explaining and just clarifying on the record what impact. I did have one other question, because I noticed in the supplemental materials you mentioned anticipated financing terms. Was that based off of an assessment of where the school is currently, based off of their 2024 financials and academic performance? I guess maybe the question is, how likely is the school to be receiving this?
That's a great question. So right now, our plan with this action by the board, our plan is to let the current year academic information come out, let the current year audit come out, so the fiscal 25 audit, and then see this enrollment growth come to fruition, right? Because that demonstrates pretty significant enrollment growth over the last 2 to 3 years, improved academic outcomes, and improved financial outcomes. And then through the financing, investors are backwards looking, but also forward looking. And if there's savings to be realized from a financing, from a lease versus a debt service perspective, that frees up more resources for the school to serve students and continue the growth they've done academically. So right now, these assumptions we have are based off probably a Q4 closing after receipt of that information. And we think there's a market for that deal. We financed Vegas Vista latter part of last year, right? It was a year one school, but investors kind of took everything into account on a existing and forward-looking basis and make risk-assessed decisions based off that. So while we will recognize the history and past of Nevada Prep, fiscal 25 might be their most important year yet for the viability of the financing, and ultimately the economics come down to the credit of the school, which are impacted by those 3 things I mentioned, and financial conditions in the bond markets. And there are outcomes where they can save a lot of money and thrive through the financing.
Member Cerna, thank you so much for the detailed response. What I'm hearing is that the school being able to meet those enrollment targets and be able to show the academic growth that we're hoping to see are going to be important factors in this. So I would just reiterate on the record that I do hope the school, and it's not a question, but I do hope that with the board action today, that the school is able to move forward and hit those enrollment targets and take use of the opportunities that are presented.
Even though that's not a question, can I give you some information?
May I pause this for just a moment, one, and ask if you would be so kind as to provide your name for the record. I acknowledge we're engaging in discussion and not necessarily identifying ourselves. Thank you.
For the record, Wes Olson from Raymond James and Associates.
Thank you.
Yeah, bond underwriter, but also help charter schools nationally with facility financing.
Thank you.
I've done about 200 over the years.
Chair Holmes Sutton, can I just get some clarification? Because on the letter that you guys submitted, it had a deadline of September 30th or closing date of September 30th for this, but you just said it would be dependent on the audit, which we won't get until best case scenario December if it's done on time. So is this just like an example of if it were to close by the 30th? Those don't really line up, so.
Yeah, so we're looking for momentum. We're looking for strong information. If you know, we're continuously talking with investors, there's an avenue towards closing before the audit, and it probably involve a very detailed kind of internal review with Mr. Weeks here. But we're looking for data points that prove momentum, that prove the long-term viability of the school, and we're going to optimize that as we work through this process. So you know, whether it's September 30th or December 1st, that's a month or two of extra rent that they're paying. But we want to go to the market at the right time with the best information to maximize the outcomes for the school through the financing.
So can I just clarify that just like very simply? This bond financing does not require the audit to be closed.
Correct. I mean, we finance startup schools without audits. So it does not require it, but I might like to have it, and we will assess that through underwriting.
So when will you know if the bond will close September 30th versus if you'll need the audit, which won't happen until the board usually votes on in November?
Yeah, so the marketing process of bonds, it takes a couple months to get in front of it, and then we typically have a month to market, price, and close the financings. So I would say we will know the timing of the financing, I would say in August.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions for staff and/or school leadership?
Trustee Richards, for the record, I just have a quick clarification on the letter from Opportunity 180. Number 3 states academic performance. The school demonstrates clear progress toward achieving an academic rating equivalent to at least 3-star designation under Nevada's accountability, and then enrollment. And it says by July 31st, 2025. So is that information going to be available, and then they're going to make their decision based on all 5? Or because, like I said, the school demonstrates progress aligned to enrollment plan to meet minimum enrollment requirements.
So just to give you further information, our projection was 460 for enrollment. Right now, currently, the end of May, it is 425, with only 3 of those being enrolled who have not have the appropriate documentation. And we have 45 new online registrations that are still dealing with their documentation. So that's astonishing. We did not expect that by the end of by August, but we did not expect that flourishing by now. So we are very excited.
Katie Broughton, for the record, just to more specifically answer your question, in the letter it remained unclear what progress would look like. NSPF data, as I'm sure you're aware, isn't available until September 15th. The official NSPF data, which is after that July 31st deadline, which is why we put in the memo that like at this time we have no way to know how to measure that. While the board chair did just speak to the enrollment targets, the SPCSA was unable to verify that enrolled number when we did an audit of the school. So I think the current official validated enrollment at this time remains unknown, as does the school's star rating and data for the star rating. So I think we would need additional information for how those groups are measuring both progress toward enrollment and progress toward an SPF improvements by July 31st.
Appreciate that, because that's where I was going, and I definitely saw the note, and I was just curious how we can actually say that. So thank you.
Thank you. If there are no additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom or online, I would welcome a motion.
Member Haddad Bennett. I also want to share my appreciation to staff, as well as the school and all the folks from the school that have hung out with us here today. Thank you guys. Obviously, this is a really important, critical juncture in the school's development, and I think it's really been such a fantastic demonstration of how committed everyone is, board, staff, the school community is, to ensuring that there's a good environment for kids. And so to me, that I think makes all the difference as to sort of what we're trying to get done here. So with that, I am prepared to make the motion to continue the notice of concern under the financial performance framework for Nevada Prep Charter School. As part of this notice of concern, the school will be required to participate in heightened monitoring directed by SPCSA staff, including but not limited to submitting and amending budgets, submitting of monthly budget to actual reporting, providing monthly evidence of payment to PERS, and providing ongoing access to accounting and financial records as requested by SPCSA staff as part of the heightened financial monitoring. Failure to provide requested documentation by the deadline set by SPCSA staff, or failure to respond to SPCSA inquiries within 3 business days, I think that means be super responsive, please, will result in a subsequent appearance before the board and a possible escalation of a notice of breach under the financial performance framework.
Thank you. I appreciate you. May I have a second?
Board Member Ibaraldava, I second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor of the proposed motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any in opposition?
Aye.
Thank you, Member Salcido. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you all very much. Look forward to supporting you. Thank you. Transitioning us to agenda item number 13, Sage Collegiate Public Charter School. Again, as I defer to Director Broughton, that we are seeking to engage in concise, clear, and clarifying responses to questions from board colleagues. Thank you.
Katie Broughton, Director of Authorizing for the record. At the SPCSA board meeting on April 18th, 2025, Sage Collegiate Public Charter Schools financial performance was considered for FY 2024. SPCSA staff recommended the board elevate Sage Collegiate's current financial notice of concern from FY 23 to a financial notice of breach for FY 24. April's SPCSA staff memo is included as part of the meeting materials for today's May 30th, 2025 board meeting. After extensive discussion between the school and the SPCSA board, the board moved to request additional information for FY 25 and FY 26 to consider before taking further action. The school submitted one of the 2 outstanding evidence of PERS payment and indicated they were planning to submit a repayment plan to PERS by the end of May for approval of the PERS board in June. I will note that as of Tuesday, May 27th, PERS indicated they had not yet received a copy of the repayment plan. Additionally, on May 15th, 2025, the school submitted a final board-approved budget for FY 26 and a letter from Raymond James. Finally, the school participated in an enrollment audit on May 20th, 2025, so that SPCSA staff could verify the enrollment for FY 26. SPCSA staff analyzed the potential bond financing, we did not do that. They did not provide, we didn't have specifics on any of the bond financing or really anything else, so we basically provided information on the final budget. As a reminder, this notice recommended is based upon the audited financial performance for FY 24, and SPCSA staff continues to have significant concerns regarding Sage Collegiate Public Charter Schools' financial performance. But according to the Financial Performance Framework Technical Guide in place for FY 2024, continued or significant evidence of materially weak financial performance observed through ongoing oversight and/or failure to make substantial progress toward remedying previously identified concerns may result in further escalation within the intervention ladder, including a notice of breach or a notice of intent to terminate. This board has permissive authority to take the action you all believe is best based upon the FY 2024 financial performance as presented. While SPCSA staff provided analysis on the FY 2025 final budget, the decision at hand should ultimately be based on the audited financial 2024 financial performance. This is detailed in the April 18th, 2025 memo, which has been included as part of the board packet. At this time, SPCSA staff recommends the board continue the financial notice of concern for Sage Collegiate Public Charter School with heightened monitoring. As part of this monitoring, Sage Collegiate Public Charter School will be required to submit an amended final budget should actual enrollment not meet the budgeted enrollment. They will also be required to submit monthly budget to actuals, evidence of monthly payments to PERS, including the correct paperwork, and provide access to any other accounting and financial records requested by SPCSA staff. The school will be required to respond to any SPCSA staff inquiries and questions with complete information within 3 business days. There will be one dedicated staff member that will provide the ongoing monitoring of the school's real-time financial information. Should the school fail to provide any of the information by the deadline or fail to respond to any inquiry within 3 business days, SPCSA staff will come back to this board at a subsequent SPCSA meeting and recommend the escalation of the notice. Again, staff wants to make it clear that this will be a significant undertaking for the school and will require significant time and effort on their part. A lack of response or late submissions from the school will simply not be tolerated, and if they fail to provide any requested financial information, staff will return to this board and recommend the notice be elevated. Additionally, should the financial circumstances appear to worsen during the monitoring period, SPCSA staff may return to the board with a recommendation to elevate the notice. With that, I will see if there are any questions from the board.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board colleagues, either in the boardroom or online? Vice Chair Thigpen.
Vice Chair Thigpen, for the record, thank you again to staff for the work involved in this undertaking. And I have a couple of questions. One, I was curious if there was someone from the board of the school in this meeting today. Go ahead, Ms. Kinney.
Hi, I apologize. Sandra Kinney for the record. Our board chair is traveling internationally. It was a pre-planned trip, so she is not available. And other board members were also not available today, given work obligations. Wes was just in person from Raymond James, and we are working closely with him and his team as well. And I believe Kristen Dietz is on. She is our liaison with EdTech, our back office provider.
Thank you, Ms. Kinney. A couple follow-up questions. Was there anyone from the board on the last meeting? I can't recall.
For the April board meeting from our board?
Yes.
Jen Bratster, our board chair, had been on for most of the morning, if I recall correctly, but given her obligations with the trial, she's a lawyer, she had to hop off at one point, given the length of the meeting last time. But she has watched the clips and the video from last month's board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kinney. I guess I'm just concerned. When the stakes are this high, I like to see board representation when possible. So my hope is obviously that they're taking things as seriously as they should be. And then my second and last question is just more out of fairness, since I asked this in the last agenda item, is if you feel that this motion, these requirements are doable, that you'd be able to fulfill them without objection.
Sure, Sandra Kinney for the record. Yes to that. I appreciate the staff. We've had many conversations and they've been engaged. Our board chair has been involved in those conversations as well. So yes, I appreciate these proposed changes, yes. And I will say to your comment around the board seriousness, they are taking it very seriously. The lack of attendance here is not a lack of involvement or engagement. It's simply folks having paid work obligations. We did have a special meeting last week in which one item related to this meeting. So the board is very much engaged on this, and it has been a topic of conversation at the last several board meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Kinney.
Chair Holmstead, thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues, either in the boardroom or online? Member Haddad and then Member Stern.
Thank you, Patricia Haddad-Bennett. So just a clarification then, looking at the staff's memo and recommendation, it says they're saying that the school, you indicated that you're planning to submit a repayment plan to PERS by the end of May. Has that been done since we're at the end of May now?
I've reached out. That's a great question. I have reached out. That was board approved last week. I reached out because I'm not exactly sure to whom to submit it. We have a couple of different liaisons with PERS, and I did have a conversation a few weeks ago with one particular individual who advised on the process and what would be necessary. I'm just not clear on to whom at PERS we submit the request, and I'm waiting for follow-up from several of the PERS contacts that were included on that email.
Chair Holmes-Sutton, may I ask a question, I guess, around that as a follow-up? Is there an opportunity for you, and definitely appreciating needing to know to whom it would go, but could you submit it to all of your connections and then perhaps they can help facilitate getting it to whom it needs to be submitted?
That is an easy enough solution. Sorry, Sandra Kinney for the record. That is a simple enough solution that I can absolutely do today.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you kindly. Are there any additional
And
questions? Oh, my apologies.
Sorry to interrupt. I will be sure to include the staff as well on that. I'll include Melissa and Katie.
Thank you kindly. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues? I believe Member Stern. Thank
you. Sorry, Member Stern for the record. So and perhaps it's not a fair comparison, but I did note in staff's letter that you have included the letter of intent from Raymond James, but no preliminary amounts or terms. So I was wondering, and I know that we did have that and looking at a similar time frame from NB Prep. I acknowledge they're a different school in a different situation, but I am wondering if you could speak to the lack of any proposed financing and what your time frame is that you as a school are considering, given that during the last meeting you indicated the importance of this to your financial stability as a school.
Sure, Sandra Kinney for the record, and I believe Wes, who is traveling to the airport, is waiting to be let in to join by phone, and he might be able to also speak to this if you heard the question. But we're on an expedited timeline. I met with the team from our current facility owners and partners, and with the Raymond James team simultaneously the week after the last board meeting. And in conversation with everybody, everybody wants to be able to wrap this up in the same timeline as they have planned for Nevada Prep. Obviously, very different schools, very different situations. We're a much younger school, but there is similar urgency and interest to get this done by September, end of September.
And for the record, this is Wes Olson. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. Yeah, sorry. Apologies, I had to run off to the airport. But from my perspective, it's a fairly similar timeline to Nevada Prep. And some of those metrics that we're looking at, fairly comparable transactions and markets and terms from my perspective.
And similar time frame, Member Stern for the record, I assume a similar time frame and similar metrics, assuming that they're going to be able to meet that enrollment target that they have of the 375 students, that those are all factors that will be taken into account as well.
Wes Olson for the record, yes, that is correct.
Okay. Member Stern, I think that's all I have for this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board colleagues in the boardroom or online? Member Salcido?
Just wanted to get on the record for this agenda item. Just my thinking is the same as the previous agenda item with the same concerns. Thank you.
Member Salcido, would you be so kind as to just very, very briefly, expand on that so that it's clear for the record? Thank you.
I would be happy to. Yeah, my concern is setting a precedent that we're using, FY 2025 and FY 2026 projections against a framework that's meant to capture the performance of FY 2024. And again, the larger picture of we've adopted these financial performance frameworks. I understand that they are the action based on those is permissive, that we have some discretion, but again, in my mind, we've adopted these financial performance frameworks so that all parties know what the standards are and what they're going to be held accountable to. And so that's my concern. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate you. If there are no additional questions from board colleagues, I would welcome a motion.
Patricia Haddad Bennett will make the motion here. So motion to continue the notice of concern under the financial performance framework for Sage Collegiate Public Charter School. As part of this notice of concern, the school will be required to participate in heightened monitoring directed by SPCSA staff, including but not limited to submitting and amending budgets, submitting of monthly budget to actual reporting, providing monthly evidence of payment to PERS, and providing ongoing access to accounting and financial records as requested by SPCSA staff as part of the heightened financial monitoring. I think we also heard you commit to submitting the remediation to PERS, or the remediation plan to PERS. It sounds like today by close business. Okay, and then in addition to that, failure to provide requested documentation by the deadline set by SPCSA staff, or failure to respond to SPCSA inquiries within 3 business days would result in a subsequent appearance before the board and possible escalation of a notice of breach under the financial performance framework.
Thank you. I would welcome a second.
Member Shanti Rosales will second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the proposed motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you, Member Salcido. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. And wish
you all.
wish you good luck as you persist in your endeavors. As we transition to agenda item number 14, the long range calendar, I would defer to Executive Director McAdam.
All right, give me 1 second to get it pulled up here. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to look at it. I think my one request regarding the long range calendar is we are going into a busy peak travel season. So by all means, please, 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 if you know you're not going to be here for the upcoming meetings, July 25th or August 22nd, please let us know as soon as possible so we can ensure that we do have a quorum. And other than that, I don't have anything. Happy to take your comments, questions, etc.
Are there any questions for leadership from board colleagues regarding long range calendar or any dates or any considerations to be made as we continue to look at the calendar? I see none. I don't believe we have any questions or concerns.
All right,
appreciate
that's
you.
it then.
And just to encourage, again, our colleagues to ensure that they're communicating any travel and or engagement that would prevent you from being fully present at our July and August board meetings. Transitioning us to agenda item number 15, our second public comment. I would ask if there is any public comment online.
There is not.
If there is any public comment in the boardroom.
Samantha King Powell, General Counsel. For the record, the authority received public comment regarding Vegas Vista, which can be found on our website.
Thank you. As we prepare for adjournment, I just would like to, although we are in an empty room, congratulate all of those seniors who are graduating from our schools, had the opportunity to attend the senior signing day at Akipo. Was definitely and very incredible and emotional experience, and acknowledge that the endeavors, the aspirations of our rising college students, community leaders, are definitely impressive, with students going into the military, going to our local colleges, our state colleges, also traveling out of state, acknowledging that one of the students from Akipo has been accepted and will be attending Yale, and that there were students who had had an opportunity to be offered over $350,000 as an individual student from the school in scholarships. So congratulations to all of our seniors that are persisting in their endeavors, and congratulations also to the school leadership as we seek to serve and engage together. I appreciate you all so very, very much. Let me never forget to do that, and to appreciate staff leadership as well. I acknowledge that we are certainly leaders to be reckoned with, and we know that we persist. Thank you so much in supporting us, and please know that we appreciate and trust you. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all so very much.